and welcome to Friday Night Football. There is a buzz in the air tonight, I can assure you. And Libba is back, Tony Liberatore, this remarkable player who does hold a unique place in the great game. Just 17 weeks ago, he injured himself badly at the Sydney Cricket Ground. He had a knee reconstruction. We felt that it was certainly the end of 1998 for Libba and possibly the end of what has been the remarkable career. He's the winner of the Gardner, the Morrish and the Brownlow medals. He's overcome all sorts of odds to make it to the top. And after his first reserves match back, this is what Terry Wallace had to say about his chances of playing in the seniors.
Well, there's no certainty. There's no certainty that he will. So,
but if he does,
well, no, I don't deal with ifs and buts and maybes and couldas and shouldas and wouldas. I deal with the facts, and if the facts are at the moment, he's a long way off that.
But just a week after that, Libba did prove himself. Last Saturday in the reserves match, before the big game between Sydney and the Western Bulldogs, when he had a terrific match, he got involved all day, he got a whole lot of touches, the knee did hold up, and tonight he will take his place on the field in what is one of the biggest matches of the season. There he is live. It's the second fastest return. He's only a day behind Mark Roberts. We doff our hat to Libba, as we've done so many times in the past, haven't we, Tim?
That is just a remarkable recovery, 118 days. And who would have thought when they saw Libba go down, get carried off on the stretcher, that we'd be seeing him play again this season? It has been a sensational comeback. The
run to the finals for both the clubs. Gee, the Bulldogs have got a tough run. They've got the Bombers tonight, followed by North Melbourne. It looks a little cosier for Essendon with Geelong in the last match.
Well, it does on paper, but then you know that Geelong side will have nothing to lose in that last game of the home and away series, and the Western Bulldogs, of course, North Melbourne. That's going to be a toughie next Friday night too.
Go Harvey Norman, everyone's a winner. You can win up to $250 cash back with any purchase over $250 from our electrical department. This 28-litre microwave is the very latest from Sharp. Great value at $269 plus up to $250 cash back. From Westinghouse, we have a 14-place setting electronic dishwasher for a low $749 plus up to $250 cash back. Save $100 on this Westinghouse family size 530-litre frost-free fridge at $14.99 and get up to $250 cash back. What a deal. Up to $250 cash back. Limited offer, so hurry.
Watch the NBA playoffs unfold right before your eyes, only on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sport.
Welcome back to the Melbourne Cricket Ground. We did have a bit of rain, as I said, about a quarter of an hour ago, but that has abated now. We're going for 13 tonight, down to 13, currently 15. It is very mild. Tim, the late change to the Bombers.
Well, Sean Denham's out of the side. I saw him train yesterday, limped off the track. Ricky Ollerenshaw is into that side. Essendon have gone a lot shorter this week. Long, Heffernan and Blumfield, all midfielders into the side. And Ricky Ollerenshaw, of course, and Robbo, the Bulldogs, pretty short too with those two inclusions.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to be the crunch for the Western Bulldogs. There's going to be a guy there on the screen, Crediuk. Is he tall enough? And Dent on Hurd. I mean, Mercury and Curley, they'll be interesting. Mercury a crummer and a goal kicker with Buick, along with Buick and Cockatoo Collins, and Libba on the bench at the start. And we'll just have a look here at maybe a bit of aggro is there. And they run through, and James Hurd and Ramiro and what have you. So I think that'll be the Bulldogs' tactics early, will be to put lots of physical pressure on the Bombers.
Welcome to John Russ and also the Dipper. We'll get to you in a moment, Dipper, as we start the match. Friday night footy, the Bombers kick to the left. Big crowd building here, huge atmosphere. Top of the table clash here, and Chris Grant gets the first effective kick of the match out wide. Montgomery and O'Donnell, and Smith comes into Shepherd for Montgomery. Around the body, kicks the ball to centre half forward. Hudson in the front spot, Hardwick at the back. Grant read it well, hooks the ball back, hooks it back close. The umpire waits. I think he's got the first goal. He's got it. He's struggled to kick them in recent weeks, and he has got them off to a magnificent start.
Brilliant play there by Chris Grant just to finish that off. We have a look at the Western Bulldogs lineup. Hudson at half forward, but a very good player. James Cook came back into the side. He's been good too. He's been picked up down there at full back by Barnard, and we see, in fact, I'm just trying to pick up, there's
Wellman on
Grant, and just it's Hardwick on Hudson.
Well, Kolonyuk's been a goal kicker too. Johnson for the Bombers gets it towards half forward. Wirra tackled by Buick. Just held the ball in the area, which was pretty good. Gee, Mark West was fierce there, wasn't he?
High tackle, Robbo.
But he's given away a free kick, and it will go there to Heffernan. Just a little bit more rain falling. Heffernan goes in towards full forward, and a mark taken by Wind. Wind and Somerville. Very, very key setup there for both sides. Somerville must negate Scotty Wind's effectiveness on this game. This is Martin for the Bulldogs at left half-back. Fantastic crowd in here at the MCG for this very important game. I'm sure that these two teams have been wanting to meet each other in the finals in a couple of weeks' time. So a little bit of authority can be asserted here tonight. Cameron's kick, not marked there by Grant. Wellman quickly on the scene. The ball spilled for a boundary throw-in. Dipper, welcome to Friday Night Footy.
Thanks very much, Robbo. As we mentioned at the start, it's very swirly down here. I'm surprised that Essendon, who won the toss, are kicking into the breeze in the punt road end down there. So a great goal by Chris Grant at the start there.
Scotty Wind's free kick is coming back. And Dipper, just a quick one. It's a blue ribbon night tonight and a blue ribbon weekend for the fans.
Yeah, a very special mention to the policeman who just recently passed away. And, of course, on Monday we'll be winning our blue ribbons, and we ask all the people to do so around Australia.
Romero's kick to full forward. O'Donnell gets to the front spot. Cook being held up, and he takes the mark. The Bombers are a great first quarter team. They've won 14 first quarters this year, and in their last 6 wins, they've won all the first quarters they've been involved in. So watch for them to get a good start, even though the Bulldogs lead here in the early stages.
It's been a very aggressive start by the Bulldogs too.
O'Donnell very wide, but no problems there. Johnson, who's impressive in the centre square. Out wide to Mercury. Mercury, a very, very loose kick. Lazy kick, really. Hardwick, very good take there in the centre of the ground. Mercedes kick on. The take was by Heffernan. High ball, Hurd front spot. Well done. Belting it away was Wirra. Back to Heffernan. He's made a good start in his comeback game here. Balances up, kicks the ball high again, just inside 50. Gives Long very little chance with Cameron. Taken by Crediot. Run down very well by Lloyd. Play on called. Romero after it. Mercury after Romero. Jose threw it. Was lucky to get away with it. Mercedes kicks to full forward. Lucas and Croft. Croft takes a good mark. A very good finger tipper. No big locker tonight, but still Lucas.
Well, it was a terrific mark by Croft, right in the goal square, and he kicks it wide out in front of the Great Southern stand. Wine couldn't take the mark. Romero, perfect hand pass to Cameron. Cameron, who loves to carry the football. He's had 2 bounces and a third and a fourth. Goes past the wing and now assesses. Kicks rather ordinarily by a Cameron standard. The ball taken here by Rowan Smith close to the line. Can't really control it. Smothered off the boot by Blumfield and forces a boundary throw in.
And Robbo, that's where the Bulldogs are very dangerous when they break from half back as they did. As we look at the Essendon bench there, Ryan O'Connor, Berbakoff, Shea Cockatoo, Collins, and that's Ricky Ollerenshaw, the late replacement for Sean Denham.
Wellman and Grant contesting that boundary throw in. The ball comes to the front of the goals, punched away by Barnard from Cook. The ball spills to Doolan. Doolan quickly out towards the middle of the ground. Awkward bounce. Mercury tries to knock it on. Yeah. Successful. Great running by Calthorpe. Calthorpe down the ground. A lovely kick. Puts the Bulldogs defence under pressure. Kick off the ground. Goes towards the goal square. Croft will get back there and rush her behind to Essendon.
Well, just to bring up the date with the Bulldogs bench, Garlick, of course, Luke Darcy and Mark West, and also Tony Liberatore, who won't surprise me if he comes on halfway through this quarter.
Actually, I think Mark West is on the ground, Dipper, and it's
okay,
Brad
they
Johnson.
just moved him. Brad Johnson's, Robbo.
There was a lot of doubt about, wasn't there? Last week we thought he'd be out for a couple of weeks, Johnson, but he's there. Kick wide as missed his target by Dent. Mercury's been busy. Johnson took a hard ball and then goes inside 50 to Buick, and he's got him. No play on call, didn't carry obviously. And battering up is Heffernan. Goes back to Crediot, who goes to the line.
Free kick against Buick for that indiscriminate late tackle.
So the Buick mark must have hit the ground, did it, John?
I'm not sure.
It didn't hold it.
It hasn't held it. Yeah, so
good decision.
Just checking some of the key matchups. Heffernan is on Scott West. Wellman is, of course, picking up Grant Calthorpe, and Mark West are running together. And Fraser is running with Dimatina.
Gee, it has a big match field, doesn't it? We're in the back pocket. And having the Bulldogs and the Bombers been involved in a lot of close matches in recent weeks. In fact, the Bulldogs, their last 2 have been decided by 1 and 2 points respectively. Let's hope tonight's in that region. Ramiro again just hands it out. Martin, good tackle, Mercury, and holding the footy. Well, it was a good tackle. Martin probably didn't have a lot of options to get rid of it.
I agree with you, Bruce. It really looks as though Martin's wrapped up as soon as he gathers possession of the footy. That just seems too tough because no prior opportunity.
Kick too far for Hurd. Marked by Di Martino, who's forced his way back into the team. Pushes wide to Ramiro. It sits. Played it pretty well, Jose. But so did the man against him in Fraser, who's having his best season for the
Pushing
Bombers.
the back against Dent, Bruce. So Fraser will take it.
Tim, he's had a big, thanks, John. He's had a big year, Fraser, hasn't he, for the Bombers?
No, he's been a very good run with type player, gives him a lot of speed in the midfield, but James Hurd was very lucky on that occasion because he didn't run down the field with Dent. It was a 2-on-1. Fraser did a very good job.
He pops it up for Hurd, who's the best front marker in the competition. He marks so beautifully from the front.
He has extremely long arms, James does, and Dent will not be able to go with him in the air.
Gee, Hurd's given this a bit. Have a look at that go. All the way. What a goal. The two champs have scored the first two goals. Grant at one end and Hurd at the other.
And I just wonder, it was Dent who actually ran out from half back. He ran right up to the wing. He had to run back again. I just wonder whether or not he was a little bit tired when he had to actually spring for this leap. Just watch, he doesn't get really off the ground at all. Nowhere near the ball to spoil it away from James Hurd. It was just a turn and kick. And that is a terrific bit of finishing from just outside 50.
Well, that's the way to do it by a champion. A magnificent kick by James Hurd for the Bombers' first goal. Scotty Wine tries to get it to Martin, taken by West. His kick towards the centre-half forward position. Hardwick under pressure there from Hudson. Goes to Wellman, then Doolan. Doolan, a high kick. Out wide to right-half forward Lloyd. Leaves it at the back is Wirra. Wirra to gather his thoughts, goes across the half-back line, but kicks it straight to the opposition. Fraser, just a little mesmerised maybe with the flight of the ball there, but he's able to recover. Little left foot kick just at the feet there of Curley. Curley able to recover too, goes down the ground. And the ball landing in a vacant half-forward area. Hudson and O'Donnell to see it over. And O'Donnell into the fence. The umpire quickly on the scene there, but no infringement.
Robert, that was just a great goal by James Hurd. As I mentioned before, the breeze down the punt road end is a very, very strong. Great goal.
So the boundary throw in about 40 metres around from the Bulldogs' goal. Chris Grant on screen to contest the boundary throw in. He gets his right hand onto it. Gathered by Hardwick. Doolan again. Kick number 3 for Ben Doolan into the middle of the ground. Not taken there by Cameron. At the back is Michael Long. Can't really control it. Gets back onto it. Buick. Wide handball. Calthorpe. And the mark taken by Hurd. It's going to be a problem there. The Hurd and Dent match-up.
That was just brilliant play there by Michael Long. The way he got back onto that ball, it was a hot one. He picked it up quickly, handballed it off. He released the players downfield, and that gave James Hurd the opportunity to run in on that ball. But I don't think Dent will be the man to hold Hurd tonight.
Well, an impact player. 4 goals in the first quarter last week, and 2 goals so far in the first term tonight.
Well, already Essendon have shown tonight that they're trying to get the ball. There we see James Hurd and Scotty Wine just having a bit of a consultation. Good play there by Hardwick just to protect the ball carrier there, which was Doolan. And just watch this bit of play here from Michael Long back onto the ball. It's just the quick hands here, the way he releases the ball. There, Buick just running to his vision, and that set it all up.
Lipper's getting ready to come back on, and there'll be a mighty roar when he does. The Bombers lead by 7 points. Hurd with 2 goals, and Chris Grant got the first of the match. Somerville and Wine both really missing. Taken in the centre by Hudson. Some play off the ball. Hudson's kicked to half forward. Montgomery, who's going to try and expose O'Donnell. The kick back to full forward. Well done, Barnard. He attacked it hard. He took the chance, and it paid off for him. A boundary throw in.
And your heart's always in your mouth when you run at a ball like that when you're a defender. He took the chance, as you said, Bruce, but quite easily the ball could have bobbled up and gone over his head to Cook, who would have been alone in the squares. We see Liver just getting ready to come back on. This huge roar from the Bulldog fans. And some jeers from the Essendon fans.
Smith couldn't get his boot to it. Taken by Barnard. His dangerous kick out wide. Dimatina missed it, so did Johnson. Johnson gets back with Dimatina. Wine gets in. Free kick, I think, to Johnson against Wine, which is careless play by the captain because they had the numbers, the Bulldogs.
Didn't look like there was much in that free kick, actually.
It was paid for a high tackle, Tim.
Johnson wide. Lucas and also Croft. And it's out on the full. So Croft's going to take the kick between centre wing and half forward.
Still looks very blustery. What have you got anything to report down there, Dipper, as far as the wind is concerned?
Well, Footscray are kicking with about a 2-goal breeze in favour of them, Robbo.
Wellman misses the mark. Hardwick there to give him a bit of a hand. Hudson, that's really not necessary, but Hardwick takes the ball over and it'll be thrown in about 40 metres around from the Bulldogs' goal. Essendon lead 13-6.
And the Bulldogs making a change. Crediok's now gone on to Hurd and Dent's gone out to Matthew Lloyd.
Chance to get a goal here. Montgomery over the top. Martin from about 40 metres. Good kick by Mickey Martin. And the Bulldogs have got their second. Essendon lead by a point. It's been a very interesting opening 10 minutes or so.
The umpire having a bit of a word to Libba there.
Good knock there by Scotty Wine over the top to Montgomery. That set the space in motion there for Martin, and that's good finishing from about centre half forward. And Scotty Wine already shown tonight why he is such an effective ruckman. Not only does he take the ball in the air, but he's also prepared to work extremely hard to get to the contests around the ground and in under the packs too.
So as Tim said, Crediok now on Hurd. The Bulldogs back within a point here. Smith in the centre. Gets his kick, was smothered off the boot, so play on. Attacking at Colin brilliantly to Dimatina, who measures the kick and misses. It's a behind. Colin quickly on to Dimatina. In fact, when you think that Dimatina and Liberatore were two of these stars, weren't they, in the Bulldogs midfield earlier this season? They've both come back tonight.
And it really highlights the area that the Bulldogs believe that they have a hold over Essendon, a strength over Essendon, and that is in the midfield, bringing those two players back into the side tonight. They believe they have the hard-running players that will test Essendon for 4 quarters.
Masidi, he wants Wellman, and he worked hard, Wellman, to get to the front. It was a good move there. The ball dropped short, probably in the breeze a bit, and Wellman worked it hard. Wants Fraser, Croft in there, belts away. Bad bounce there for Heffernan, but he worked the ball pretty well in front, then goes over the top of Scott West and gives away a free kick. Fair call. West has got it at centre wing.
Scotty West played that pretty well.
He's had a big year, hasn't he?
They're often not paid, Robbo, because the umpires are told if the player contributes to the illegal contact, then it normally wouldn't be paid.
Wine to Smith. Smith's a long kick off one step. It's going and going and going. It's gone all the way.
That was equally as good as James Hurd's kick.
There's very few players in the game off one step that kick it as long as this fellow. He has belted it, didn't he?
He just has perfect timing, Rowan Smith. Just watch. Now, that's the problem there. Scotty Wine hasn't been picked up by Peter Somerville. He's the loose bloke that they got free, and he really set that up. And that's where Peter Somerville is really going to have to tighten up on Scotty Wine. It's around the ground because they will use him when they go forward.
Justin Blumfield and Rowan Smith matching up. The goal kick by Rowan Smith gives the Bulldogs the lead at the moment. Scotty Wine tries to get it wide of that congested area. Chris Grant, he may succeed in doing so. Now it's chopped off by Somerville. Hand pass by Fraser. Wellman, beautiful footwork there by Mercury. And towards Lloyd, magnificent play by Mark Mercury. Finishes with Matthew Lloyd.
He'll fancy himself from here, Robbo.
Well, I guess he's paid to do these sort of things, kick goals and kick big goals. But this is just beautiful footy.
He just danced on the spot almost.
And a lovely weighted pass too for Lloyd. He'll shoot from 50 metres. He'll kick the ball across the face. It may not get the journey, and taken over there by Todd Curley for a behind to Essendon. So Essendon 2-2 trail the Bulldogs 3-1. Goals coming from Hurd, who has kicked 2 for the Bombers. 1 each to Grant, Smith and Martin for the Bulldogs.
Dent to bring it in. Now Paul did hold up a bit, and Dipper's been telling us that the Bulldogs have got the use of the breeze here. Wide kick was very effective. Got it all the way out to Dimatina at half-back. who belts it down the wing, but the numbers are there with Essendon. And
Poor selection.
It was, and Lucas and Blumfield sort of waxed it in the end, didn't they? And quickly on Lucas, and finds Mercury. His handball inside to Johnson. Johnson just probably took one step too many, but Curley was a fantastic smother. Buick was held up, couldn't get rid of it. Curley gets back onto it. Back to Mercury at 48. Handball was quick to Long. Long gets it back. Lucas is a thumping kick, but he's hooked it with everything and missed the lot. And it's out of bounds on the full. And it'll be the Bulldogs to bring it in.
And Bruce, Curley has been picking up Mark Mercury, but he's actually been dropping off Mercury. Mercury's trying to take him up the ground, but Curley's actually going back to the space in front of Lucas and also James Hird.
West kick in, gathered by Long. Just didn't have that half a yard, did he, Michael Long? It's criminal to watch him because when he breaks away, he's a scintillating player.
High tackle,
the umpire's found a free kick, Johnny.
Yeah, high tackle, so Scotty Wind will take it.
Well, Scotty Wind, as Tim has mentioned, working very hard for the Bulldogs.
He does more than just the average ruckman.
My word, he does, yep. One kick, 4 hand passes, 3 marks, credited with 1 hit out so far. But it's just his bustling tactics, and he gets in and puts his big body between the football and his opponent. Knocked forward for the Bombers. Taken here by Johnson, and he finds Lucas from 50 metres. Lucas goes for goal, and Lucas has just missed.
They're just starting to die out in front of goal there because of the swirly breeze there.
Yes, it's been quite obvious that a couple of kicks, particularly the one from Matthew Lloyd just a few moments ago, holding up and being rushed over in the finish right on the line by the Bulldogs defence. Dent to kick in, goes to the Great Southern stand side here at the MCG. Liberatore and Johnson, and he just takes him into the ground. And holding the ball. No,
just held the hand up the wrong way, the umpire, so it's actually Libba's free kick for pushing the back.
Well, I think everyone would have been bemused, Johnny, if that had been gone the other way.
Yeah, the umpire realised he'd put his hand up the wrong way.
And Liberatore's kick into the middle of the ground, taken by Rowan Smith. Lovely hand pass, tries to set it up for Ramiro. In turn goes to Grant. Grant, who initiated that forward passage, has found with a beautiful left foot pass Montgomery in the pocket. Montgomery tries to swing around, and the umpire has obviously blown time on, so he's going to make Brett Montgomery go back and kick it over the man on the mark. Bulldogs lead by 4 points, 8 minutes left in the first term. Cook and Barnard. Montgomery probably will go for goal.
Still looking around. He wants to give the ball off. He's going to have a shot. He really needs to concentrate on actually just having a shot.
Well, he tries to better his angle, then lobs it right in front of the square. Kicked by Mercedes, smothered off the boot, and Wellman is prepared to concede a behind.
See, that's dangerous play there by Somerville. Really, when you're the only player going for the ball in a situation like that, you've got to have the feel to go for the mark. That was a dangerous punch by him in the end. It was just straight down again to the front, an attacking punch, and this is a fumble by, that was almost a free kick there to Conyog. He tried to make something out of nothing, but sometimes they can be paid.
Mercedes has to go now. Straight down the middle, Wine's got it. He's having a big first quarter here. It was a poor kick, really, but
he normally gives them off. Here he goes again.
He does. Wirra giving it everything he's got with the breeze. It won't get there, and Hardwick made a little bit of a meal of it, and it's a behind. So the Bulldogs are comfortable, aren't they, to ping it from 50. When Chris Grant was on Talking Footy 2 weeks ago, he talked about the fact that if they can't make the distance, they kick to the front of the square, which is exactly what Montgomery did a moment ago.
It was a pulled kick, a half kick.
Yep, Mercedes to kick it in. There's a goal the difference here, 3-3 to 2-3. You can see the problems he's got getting it off because he's taking a long time every time to kick it in. And again, Wine gets into the frame, but he can't take it this time. Grant over the top, and it'll be a ball up. Heffernan on the bottom there. And Ramiro also, for some reason, getting involved.
It's fascinating, actually, Bruce, because I watched Essendon train yesterday, and one of the drills they did was their kick-out drill. And you can see what they're trying to achieve because you watched it yesterday, but it's just not coming off.
Darcy coming on for Collingwood, so tall for a short to play there. Heffernan, so change for the Bulldogs.
Essendon will make a change too. O'Connor comes straight on.
Lloyd under the ball, did very well to get back, and then push forward to Long, to Lloyd. Lloyd from 55 metres out has kicked a goal. Magnificent. Absolute Absolutely thrilling stuff here at both ends of the ground.
And Michael Long Shepherd, after he gave the hand pass, the Bulldog player is still in a bit of strife behind play in the hands of one of the trainers.
He was so relaxed, he wasn't expecting it. Lloyd picked it up off the ground. Just what's that? Great play there by Long, wasn't it? Just to protect. I think it was Leon Cameron who actually went down. Just didn't have the real feel for the situation. Wasn't expecting that he was going to be shepherded away.
Kolonyuk being worked on by the medical staff on the boundary line. Just light rain falling now towards the end of the first term. Wellman gets his right foot to it. Awkward bounce for Mark Fraser. Liberatore left it for Martin, chipping in Dimatina. Back to Liberatore. Wide hand pass. Goes to Curley. Curley's high kick. The rain just getting a little steadier in the middle of the ground. Somerville to Blumfield. Over the top, Johnson. Johnson hooks the ball across the half-forward line. Getting back there, Wirra. Tap on by Buick. Lloyd. Gee, that was strong play by West just to confront his opponent there. Buick looking for the free kick. He's going to get it.
Over the shoulder. Is it?
I think it's Buick's kick, isn't it?
No, it's not. The signal first given seemed to be...
Oh,
it's Buick's kick.
Gee,
he signalled over the shoulder, didn't he?
He actually signalled holding the ball and over the shoulder, I think, Tim. So, depends on when you were looking.
I think Buick thought he was at the Dimbulla Rodeo then too.
Well, he was pretty happy about the decision being given in his favour. Very much a goal kicker, Darren Buick, for Essendon over a long period of time. He's kicking for the Bombers' fourth goal, and he's got it. Darren Buick's first goal. Essendon have now kicked 4. They lead by that goal, kicked by Darren Buick.
Well, it's good work there by Buick just to hold the ball into the forward line on that occasion, and by the other Essendon forwards there too. Lloyd worked pretty hard to get into that contest. But players from both sides now are going to have to adjust to these conditions. There is rain falling here at the MCG. It's going to be a game of the percentage things now.
So Buick's goal, and it's pretty heavy just for the moment. Kolonyuk's back on, by the way. Smith is off. There's been a few changes made. Cameron's come off the ground as well, and Garlick's gone on. West gets the kick out to centre half forward, so the Bombers into the breeze lead. Hudson snared it well. Left foot kick. It's a goal. Another one. What a game. What a first quarter. Dare I say, Tim, it's raining goals at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
Well, it has the hallmarks of a classical game of football, and there's Hudson. That was just quite brilliant the way he roved that pack. He's been a goal-kicking forward for them all year. That's his 49th goal for the year. Just watch this again. He's on the wing now. You talk about front and square. There he goes. Had that all sized up. Not only that, he had the ability to finish 2 on his non-preferred foot.
Just classy play there by Paul Hudson. He's been a maligned player since perhaps his first or second year when he was with Hawthorn. James Hird now right at the centre bounce. Scotty Wine and Peter Somerville taken by Grant. Back to West. Being forced to kick with his right, which was still pretty good. Put it on the chest of Montgomery, 50 metres from goal.
And Sean Wellman has to stop Grant's run off the square.
Hand pass to Kolonyuk, short kick, good. Not bad play. This man can kick the ball this distance, I'm sure.
That's fantastic leadership, isn't it? Grant ran in off the square, took the ball, so he got the ball out of the centre. Now he's lining up for a goal. Sean Wellman has been run all over the park so far. He does like to play off his man a bit, Sean Wellman. I'm sure that the Bulldogs would have mentioned that as part of their pre-game build-up.
You have to go for the right-hand post here, boys.
Okay, thanks, Dipper. Chris Grant going for his second goal. Kicks it just off to the left and through for a behind. Well, I'm sure that Chris Grant must feel that if the Bulldogs are to win the 1998 flag, it's going to be players like him that have to stand up over the next 6 weeks. And he's certainly taking the bit between his teeth here tonight. He's had 6 possessions already and kicked a magnificent goal. The Bulldogs' first goal of the game.
Let's see if the Bombers can do something from the kick out.
Oh, gee, lucky. And Barnard's kick, lucky again. It finds Johnson, who's been busy. Heffernan's been all right. High ball to centre wing. This is an important play. Wellman and also Croft. Back to Mercury, who's been outstanding in the opening term. Back to Lucas, who does play very deep. Kicks the ball. Well done, Credial, because Lloyd tried to get him underneath the footy and run off him, and he couldn't do it. West has got hold of it at centre half back. Livers into the centre. Too far for Libber, but just the right for Collinwood. It's normally very constructive.
Free kick against Doolan, and advantage played to the Doggies.
Curley onto Wirra, running hard. Wirra 60 metres out, short to Cook, who can kick it from here.
Sorry, Bruce, but Doolan actually knocked Libber to the ground, and that was why the free kick was paid well off the ball.
Thanks for that, John. So Cook about from where Chris Grant was a moment ago, but this man is a thumping kick. This is not unlike the position he was in at half-time in the preliminary final against the Crows when he thumped a big one. And have a look, they're second in attack, only behind North Melbourne this year in terms of points scored for.
Bruce has gone back about 20 metres.
Well, it's a long run, but it's a big kick too, Dipper. And you'd reckon he'll have no trouble with the distance at all. It's his first shot tonight. He kicked 5 last week. He kicked 6 goals in round 2 this year against the Blues. And he's kicked it from 55 metres. He's actually tried to caress it. He hasn't got it at all. And he's missed it for a behind. So not the result wanted. He was still probably 5 metres away from where he could have been with a man on the mark. 4-3 to 4-5.
Let's see what Essendon do on this kick in. They've really had trouble in the early part of this game hitting a target with these kick-outs. And once again, Joe Masudi indecisive.
Is it better to go long than just fiddle around and maybe risk losing it? Do you think?
Well,
obviously not.
When you're nervous, it is.
Well, there's been every good reason. Just the kick in prior to that one, they nearly messed up.
What they try and do is now clear the space over this side of the ground. The Bulldogs are aware that that's what...
Well, Johnson's kick has been marked by Libber. And a good fillip for Liberatore to get his hands on the footy. The kick into the pocket. Grant from behind. Put his hands on it over the top of Johnson. Couldn't take the mark. Hardwick confronted by Collinwood. Bombers' defence under enormous pressure. The Bulldogs forwards working very, very hard to hold the ball in and maybe force the opportunity for a score.
Just watch this. It's Johnson goes back with the fly. The ball almost takes it. And I guess if it had been anyone else bar Liberatore kicking that ball, it probably would have reached its target.
29 plays 27. The Bulldogs lead. Darcy for Liberatore. Tries to break the tackle, then gets the hand pass to Ramiro. Quickly onto his boot, was good. But back there is Barnard to mark right on the goal line.
He's read it pretty well a couple of times tonight, Barnard. He's made 1 or 2 mistakes back there, but he's read it well when the ball's gone over the back.
Yeah, Cook's got to really work on him on Barnard, because Barnard can surely outpace him, Bruce.
Thanks, Dip. Barnard's kick outside 50. He has gone for distance. Darcy had a juggled attempt. Handball by O'Connor. Calthorpe had to burn. He's gone. First one was too high.
That's what it's been paid for, Bruce, yeah.
It's more a bump than a tackle almost, too, in the end. Now, Jose and David Calthorpe, there won't be much quarter given there between those two. He's got to come back, time on call probably, and Masudi gives it back to Calthorpe.
But once again, the Bombers have been held up in their back half, so they're just not getting the flow from defence through the midsection of the ground. The Bulldogs are doing a very good defensive job on them.
It's a crude attempt, wasn't it, the first one by Liver, and then Ramiro and one other tackle. Now, Calthorpe very wide. Oh, big fly by, was it Lloyd? Yes, it was. Mercury got it out. Doolan's got the footy now from O'Donnell at centre wing. They want 50, the Bombers. It's 4 goals, 3 to 4-5. Essendon have done well into the breeze. A couple of goal breeze, but you can score clearly from both ends. Cross belt away was effective. Wirra playing the boundary line and wanting it and getting it before Curley gets there. And a boundary throw in. Terry Wallace, what a great start to his coaching career. Magnificent leap by Lloyd. He actually went up once and then went up again, didn't he? Terry Wallace, what a revelation he's been in the last 2 seasons as a coach. Coming in halfway through in 1996. Johnson's handball to O'Donnell. O'Donnell caught on his wrong side, but he did well to Doolan. Doolan sits it up. This is where Hurd's very good. Couldn't quite take it on Credial, but he forced it to the ground. Still going Hurd. With him is Credial over the top, and it's going to be a bounce. It was a great contest.
That was a great contest there because Credial got his hand to Hurd's hand in the actual marking duel. Then Crediok looked like he was in the best position. Hurd got himself back into the best position. It was just a wonderful contest.
And they both knew if it spilled out, by gee, it was danger, wasn't it?
And they've been good starters, the Bombers. Kevin Chudy making his way down to the boundary line.
Right in front of Essendon's goal.
Oh,
hacked out of there by Somerville, deemed as in danger.
Those indiscriminate kicks will always be paid, Robbo.
So Peter Somerville, the infringer there, kicked away by Ramiro out wide. Could be running onto this Montgomery. Has it been an advantage?
Yes.
It has. Montgomery from the middle of the ground, poor kick. He wouldn't be happy with that. Streaming down the ground, kicked it right on the chest of Joe Mercedes. Out wide goes to Barnard. Barnard inside his defence at 50. Kicks it out to the wing. Now some running, some power running by Somerville. Nearly run down by Martin. Handball over the top. Good play by Fraser to provide support. The kick into the forward 50. Oh, it could have nearly been Lloyd's, couldn't it? He really had his hands on that. Little bit of indecision there between he and Mark Mercury. But it doesn't matter because it's quarter time in this big game between the Bombers and the Bulldogs. And at quarter time, the Bulldogs lead. They're 4-5 to 4-3. And the only multiple goal kicker at this stage is James Hurd, who has kicked 2.
Western Bulldogs will start with Rowan Smith. Unusual to see him on the bench, Bruce, with Brad Johnson, Leon Cameron and Mark West. And the Bombers, Burgerkoff, Blumfield and Olorenshaw.
Thanks, Tipper. Fraser out of the centre, kicks the ball to Mercury. Mercury's handball. It comes back to him. And then Fraser over the top of it. Well done, Curley. In fact, wrote it beautifully, Curley. Just thinking aloud about Brad Johnson on the bench for so long. Here's Libba. Libba, I'll give you some interesting stats on Libba in a moment. He kicks the ball to Wellman, who must watch Grant very closely tonight because Chris Grant's had a huge impact on this game. Takes the mark. The Pineapple group are following Libba and Ramiro tonight. They're tracking them. Mark by Long was a beauty. And plays on quickly, plays on away from his man. Was unable really to get clear, and his kick was held up. Well done by Hurd. Hurd going long and missing, and it's a behind. Just quickly, in the opening term, this from Pineapple, Ramiro covered 3.7 kilometres, and Libba, who started 12 minutes late, covered 2.4 kilometres. They do run and run and run.
So if they're running at that pace, when will Libba catch Ramiro, Bruce?
He's going to catch him at about 11:30 tonight.
They asked me that in Form 4 down at Wonthaggi High School, Tim.
And I bet you got 10 out of 10.
I still failed.
Here's Martin. And kicks the ball to centre wing. And marked by Joe Mercedes. It's 4-4 to 4-5 here. Smokin' Joe. Belts it to centre half forward. Wants a big mark. Somerville goes up against Wine. Johnson read it well. Mercury's been terrific. To Hardwick. Hardwick goes to Hurd. He's got him. Well played.
Well done by Damien Hardwick. In that situation, it's pretty easy to lose a bit of vision and blaze away, but he was cool, wasn't he?
Showed a lot of poise. Johnson in there again, who had a good first quarter, just in at the fall of the ball. There was a good centering kick there by Mercedes. Wine tried to knock the ball away as we see Garlick leaving the field now, and Cameron coming back onto the ground.
Oh, has he got it? Hurd, I think he has. I think he's kicked his third. And the Bombers in front. Our statistician Kevin O'Neill was telling me at quarter time that the lead had changed hands 4 times in the opening term, and on 4 occasions they've been dead set level. So it's flipped over once again, and the Bombers are in front.
Well, if you win those critical contests across half forward there, as we see Mark Mercury, it was he at the bottom of the pack that got that intelligent handball. Burbakoff still on the bench, Olorenshaw, Blumfield, and also Darren Buick, who left the field at quarter time. And those players will just be rotated. They want to keep the running pressure on the Bulldogs tonight.
Bounce really favouring Scotty Wine there. He didn't quite get an effective tap out. Just helps Libba back to his feet, and Calthorpe. It's good, isn't it? This body on body, just players testing each other's capabilities, mental capabilities under stress situations, like a real tough game of footy. And that's what this is going to turn out to be. The first quarter and a bit has been electrifying here in front of a big crowd. Friday night footy.
Dent back on Hurd too, Robbo.
Just watching here, and he did put his left hand back on that knee of Libba's there too, David Calthorpe. Martin dragged down, helped out by Croft. Croft gets the ball inside the forward 50 for the Bulldogs. Grant tries to belt it further forward, but...
Free kick will be paid against Grant for that.
No, I think he's going to get it himself, isn't he?
Yep.
For not being knocked by O'Connor. Now, where did you see that, John? Obviously the other way.
I thought the free kick had been paid against Grant for knocking the ball over the line after it was out of bounds, but it's been paid against O'Connor for the bump onto Grant after the ball was out. Well, I saw Glenn Kilpatrick, and he's out of the competition for the season, and he was interfered last week exactly the same way. And maybe the umpires have been told to have a good look at it. Down here in the first quarter, Gary O'Donnell was helped over the boundary line by Paul Hudson, and I saw the central umpire come down and have a talk to him too. And fair enough, because these players do it hard in the arena of play without getting belted into the fence. James Cook has got the football for the Bulldogs.
Brad Johnson about to come on for the Doggies.
Johnson, who's been on the bench, Dipper, for all of the games so far.
That's right.
Cook going for goal for the Bulldogs. Good-looking kick by James Cook. Has he just got it? May have just missed. So 2 behinds to Cook so far. You would think that if the Bulldogs are to win this game, they'd have to get 3, maybe 4 goals from Cook. O'Donnell to himself, and then tries to go straight down the ground. Has one bounce, squeezes a kick out, gets pretty good distance. It will land close to the wing. Out here is Wind, still working lots of areas of the ground. Ramiro, wider still, Dimatina, back to Ramiro, in turn to Crediuk. Crediuk will go in towards centre-half forward. Great mark taken by Hardwick. Well, wasn't he brave there?
I think it might be a 50 as well too, Robbo.
Sensational footy. Well, he's got the ball and he kicks it out wide. Wasn't that terrific stuff? The ball wider still now, and the mark is taken out there by Barnard, is it? And Cook maybe a little too diligent trying to mind the mark.
And the Bulldogs doing a terrific job at holding Essendon up at every opportunity around the ground. They're just trying to slow Essendon down. Essendon do like to kick short. They like to run the ball, and the Bulldogs doing a terrific job in that area.
Barnard at half-back and kicks the ball long to centre wing. Wine front spot. At the back, Lloyd affected a spoil. Kicked by Croft around his body. Doolan had to sit and wait and then didn't go for the contest, but read it pretty well. It came off Ramiro. Doolan kicks back in the long direction. Over the top, Crediuk. His duel with Hurd is going to be pivotal, and it's going to be a boundary throw in. The Bombers say deliberate, but he was about 30 metres from the line, and it'll be a boundary throw in.
And Bruce, the more you hold up players across half-back, the greater chance there is that you're going to end up kicking to a pack, and that's exactly what's happening.
Double change for the Dogs coming up. Somerville to Long, to Lloyd. Long paved the way, and Lloyd sprays it and kicks it behind. Johnson's come on, and Rowan Smith's getting ready to come on for the Bulldogs. So the Bombers having most of it in this early part of the second term. 5-5 to 4-6. Lloyd with 3 shots for goal tonight. 1 goal in the behind and 1 out of bounds on the full. Dent belts it in. Out to half-back. Darcy, big fly. Somerville roving at the back. Measures the kick to centre-half forward. Not a particularly good one, and Curley's in the front spot, but Mercury was able to get to him. Here's Libber coming away and running, but kicking it straight to Buick. It's over his head. Can Buick get it? He'd be frustrated there, Buick, coming off interchange and not being able to get hold of it. Hudson off. Smith comes on for the Bulldogs.
Essendon by 5 points. Still fairly early in the second term. They've kicked 1 goal. James Hurd was that goal kicker. Handball out by Heffernan. Found Calthorpe. In turn went to O'Connor. O'Connor's kick. Oh, good mark. That was a good mark taken by Darcy. What did you think, Tim?
It just had to be a contest.
Too easy?
Far too easy.
Darcy out wide. Scotty Wine didn't take the mark, but able to recover. Gets the hand pass to Dimatina. Dimatina's left foot kick is rather ordinary. Good contest provided by Grant. Montgomery gathers the crumbs. Kicks in the Cook direction. He didn't read it, though. His opponent, Barnard, comes streaming down the ground. Chance for Ramiro. No, being held. That'll be Barnard.
Yeah, held by James Cook without the footy.
He's got to be up there with him, Tim, doesn't he, on Barnard? Barnard will run Cook around.
You're absolutely right, Dipper.
Pretty tough character, too, Paul Barnard. Does well. Kicks it wide for Somerville.
Somerville wide to Cockatoo. Collins on the ground. Took a long time to get there. Cameron with him. Free kick, no. Cameron did well in the end, but the handball to Johnson. Caught by Buick. Buick can't get away. Rowan Smith and Doolan after it. Smith towards the line, Doolan with him. Kolonyuk out of mid-air. It was out of bounds, I think, and it was coming back, a boundary throw in. It's fascinating to see Brad Johnson here. He just, don't know if he could be fully fit after what happened to him last week, and I was surprised that he started on the interchange. Head-to-head, the Bombers had the best of it, but they haven't beaten the Bulldogs since 1996. It's the 15th game this season Essendon's played here at the MCG. Only the second time the Bulldogs have been here. Kolonyuk concedes a fair bit of ground, but he did find Dimartina in the centre, and he was able to run off Cockatoo Collins a bit too easily and kicks the ball in the Rowan Smith direction. Or if he can straighten up and kick a goal, he's within range for him. He lets loose, and it's going and going and going. And it was just missing and touched as it went through.
A clever change by Terry Wallace. Took Hudson off the ground, brought Smith onto the ground. Smith immediately took Hardwick right up into the middle of the ground, lost him up there, and almost kicked the goal.
O'Donnell's done this reasonably well. Got the ball to Johnson. He played on, and it's going to come off. Heffernan gathered, then kicked towards half-forward. Good mark. Well done by Curley. Should have been paid. Oh, can't believe that. Mercury to Somerville. Somerville's high kick to the goal square. Lloyd punches from behind. Gathered by Hurd. Caught with the footy. Handball away. Lloyd. Matthew Lloyd's kicked the goal.
Hurd's hurt himself. He's back up on his feet. Credill arguing with the umpire. I don't know whether he's arguing about the mark that should have been paid. That was a mark to Curley, I believe, should have been paid. I don't know whether he's arguing about that one or the fact that he thought that he tackled James Hurd well enough for the umpire to actually pay holding the ball. Just watch this again. Hurd grabs the ball here. It's a good tack there. Wasn't enough, really, was it?
I think it's the latter, Tim.
He really didn't impede him enough, did he?
So Hurd, he's up on his feet. What a game he's playing. He's kicked three, and that handball then was very effective. And on replay, it looked the right decision. Credill had him, but he did get the handball away pretty quickly. Bombers enjoying a good patch here, 6-5 to 4-7. West out of the centre, kicks to centre half forward. Hardwick front spot. Smith gave away a free kick, and the advantage is given to Doolan. And Essendon's on a little bit of a roll as he kicks the ball out wide. Lloyd's a problem. Croft's a good competitor and takes a very, very good mark against the youngster who's kicked a couple of goals so far. Kicks the ball wide to Darcy on his own. At centre wing, has West running, quickly gives it off, has Smith inboard, decides to go to Grant. Wellman sits on him, belts it away. Well done by the Bombers, they've read it well. Back to O'Connor. O'Connor back to Johnson, who's had a lot of the football. This is danger into the centre, too far, taken by Hudson. Hudson sells a dummy onto his left, kicks it hard and high. Wellman will probably take the mark. No, going for it, O'Donnell did the right thing. Handball was wide to Johnson. Johnson didn't control it. Dimartina thieved it off him, didn't he? Kicks the ball back in. A chance for Montgomery. Spinning. Handball out to Grant. Handball back to Kolonyuk. It's great footy. Kolonyuk to the goal square. Has he got the legs? It's bouncing. Johnson, he's kicked a goal. Wonderful. Magnificent stuff. Oh, it's thrilling to be here, isn't it?
The ball handling, just the efficiency all the time. Not much fumbling, with efficiency all the time, wasn't it?
You just don't have the opportunity not to take the ball the first time in AFL football in a pressure game. Johnson missed it on that occasion. Really, he did two errors in the space of probably about 30, 40 seconds of football. He shouldn't have kicked to the 50-50 back inside either. Kept the ball alive. The Bulldogs had another opportunity, and they just worked so hard to get that ball back into a scoring area, and that was good finishing there by Johnson.
Well, Johnson, his first kick, as I said, he's been on the bench for a fair part of this game, all of the first term. The free kick has been found.
Centre square infringement against Western Bulldogs, Robbo. They must have had 5 in.
Well, it went to Somerville. He got it to Wellman. Wellman down the ground, out wide, very wide. May have been looking for Heffernan. Cockatoo Collins on the ground. Gets it back in the Heffernan direction. Hudson takes it over.
So you wonder about the wisdom of that kick to Shea Cockatoo Collins at half forward, right on the boundary line, when you've got Lloyd, Lucas and Hurd as tall targets in your forward line, and they're all occupying space in the corridor.
Essendon by 4 points. Darcy tries to get it down to Wirra. Nearly gathered by Michael Long and eventually Scotty West taking it over. His season has been a little bit mixed. He was quite fantastic early in the year. I believe he played a very good game last week when the Bulldogs got over the Swans, and he has firmed very much in Brownlow medal betting. Underneath there, it looks like it might be not Gary O'Donnell, it's Fraser, is it? Kelthorpe, actually. So the umpire will bounce about 65 metres from the Essendon goal. I repeat, a very, very good crowd here. And there was also a big crowd here the last time they played. The Bulldogs won that match by 8 points. Trying to crush his way through Mercury. Blumfield, tackled by Hudson. The ball's still to be won, and it's being very difficult to get the ball away from those crunch situations.
Well, it's interesting to hear Terry Wallace before the game. He said that this game would be won and lost by whichever side gained control of the midfield, and that's really where the battle is at the moment, isn't it? It's through really the ebbs and flows of a very even contest at the moment. Neither side really be able to get a decisive advantage in there.
Darcy O'Connor out of midair, Long trying to get hold of it. Well done by Hudson. Back to Curley. Curley stopped, prop, delivered to centre wing. Ramiro, O'Donnell was a good spoil. Forced it back. Johnson's handball inboard to Ramiro. Back to Wirra. They have so much confidence in one another. Wirra's kicked to centre wing. Montgomery's read it best at the back. Can the ball sit?
Oh.
He is savage. He must get a free kick.
That's dangerous, though.
Yeah, you're right, Tim. I mean, when a player's head's down like that, Montgomery's head was certainly vulnerable, and Gary O'Donnell's run in and Sean Wellman from the other side, that certainly is a bit dangerous.
Reckless stuff there. Inboard to Ramiro. Ramiro about 80 metres from goal. Delivers to the pocket. Can Smith get there? Mercury's done well, and he's going to be paid.
Can't believe. I know that should be paid, but Curley's before was just
similar, isn't it, Robbo, where there's a firm grab and then
got a goal out of it, John.
Yep, you're right.
Probably different umpires, Robbo. Mercedes kick into the centre. We've got 3 out there. Lucas
Had to give it,
didn't give it off, and he's caught holding the footy. And the Dogs have worried the Bombers in this area tonight, haven't they? They've caught them a couple of times taking one step too many. Johnson's kick, Grant in the front spot. It goes to ground, handball by O'Connor. Back to Johnson, who has been very good at accumulating. He hasn't kicked it all that well tonight. That one into the centre. Long, it sat for him. He'll make it taut. He can't get away. He might have been held onto. He's revved up now. West gets it back to Wirra. Wirra goes wide, and he wants Montgomery out here. O'Donnell with him. Well played by the veteran O'Donnell towards the line. Back by Montgomery, but back only as far as Buick. There are terrific contests all around the ground here. Buick kicks to the line and finds it. It's a boundary throw in.
Well, I think it's indicative of the conditions that players are finding it just a little bit ordinary to get into a game. You haven't had too many dominant players. Hurd has kicked 3 goals. Lloyd has kicked 2. Grant's been terrific, but they've been rather spasmodic. Wind again, knocks it to the advantage of his teammate in Liberatore. Around onto his left goes Tony Liberatore. Kicks towards centre-half forward. Contest provided. Montgomery tries to tap it clear. Trying to swoop on it there was Hudson, and O'Donnell to hold it up. And the umpire will bounce.
Shaw getting ready to come onto the ground. Calthorpe's coming off. The Essendon bench will be rotated through that midfield. It's almost impossible for midfielders to play at this level of pressure for 120 minutes. They do need a rest from time to time.
O'Connor from that ruck contact. Oh, got good mark. He is an underrated player.
Paid against him, Robbo.
What for?
Well, the signal given was for a push. Oh, he won't give the ball back, or will he? Yes, he will. He doesn't want to. Oh, well, that's interesting, because
he did push Hurd out in the contest, but I thought it was one of those that actually, oh yeah, you see Hurd just taken right out of the contest there. But he is limping, James Hurd, at the moment. He's kicked 3 goals, but not looking that steady on his foot.
Well, he's such a magnificent kick that you would never discount him from anywhere on the ground. On this occasion, trying to get the extra distance, he's hooked it. He looks as though he might be coming off.
I think they'll take him off the ground. They'll probably tape up his ankle. He went over on his ankle in that tackle against Crediork in the forward pocket. They're signalling now that they will take him off. Verbekoff will come onto the ground, but I'm sure that's just to tape up his ankle. We'll find out from Dipper.
Wirra gets a free kick. It's going to come back to Wirra. So Verbekoff on for Hurd. There's Hurd in the top left-hand screen. And he'll be shielded a bit here for sure, but hopefully we might have a look. It looks like he's going to be taped up. Dipper's not far away, and we'll let you know what's going on. Wirra at centre wing. It's been a terrific contest. Kicks the ball to half forward. front spot, Montgomery. O'Donnell-Montgomery's been a good duel. Montgomery out towards Johnson. Well done by Johnson of Essendon. There's a couple there. The handball was very good to Long. Long uses Mercury. One bounce, then he has to hold it up. G's in trouble. He was a bit lucky. He got the kick to Blumfield. Blumfield goes away. There's the ankle being taped, and he kicks the ball in short and finds Lloyd, who's within kicking distance. Mercury was clever in the end, but he almost coughed it up, didn't he? He had it for a long, long time. And Lloyd, who is a magnificent long kick, you reckon he could nearly kick his third from here.
Good pressure there from Hudson, and that was a super kick under extreme pressure.
Lloyd to go for it. He kicked 63 goals last season. If he kicks this goal tonight, right here, it'll be his 60th goal of the season. He is a fantastic young talent. Just 20 years of age. 50 metres out. Gets under it. Floating, floating, floating is a goal. He's kicked his third. We've got 6 out of Hurd and Lloyd. It's a big return. 6 of the 7, and they lead 47 to 37.
Well, the pre-game talk was about whether or not the Bulldogs' defence would be able to hold Lucas, Hurd, and also Lloyd. Hurd and Lloyd have been able to get away. Lucas has been pretty well held tonight. He hasn't been able to shake his man. Good play by the Dons.
So Essendon lead this match by 10 points. 6.5 minutes left in the first half. Wind up early. Somerville over the top. Heffernan doing well in the middle of the ground. Buick quickly onto his right foot. Kicks the ball to half forward. The spillage not gathered. Contest at centre half forward for the Bombers held up, and the umpire will bounce.
Robbo, they're still working on James Hurd down here. I've just asked Dr. Reid. He just said he's twisted his ankle fairly badly down there, and they're just retaping it now, and we might see him back on the ground before half-time.
So the Bulldogs under pressure across half-back. West helped out on this occasion by Cameron. Cameron's little kick is all right. Taken by Dent. Looks to play on and does so. One bounce. Runs through the half-back area. Kicks past the wing towards half-forward. Good play there by Montgomery. Hudson tackled, very well tackled there by Mercedes. O'Donnell well forced there by Ramiro. Montgomery's little kick to half-forward. Doolan had to make the ball his. He did well. Gets it off to Lucas. Lucas across the full back line, and the Bombers are out of trouble. It finishes with Somerville.
Somerville wide to Buick. Buick will go to Long. Big stretch, but built it away by Wirra. Back to Johnson. Brad Johnson to Wirra, who just blazed. It wasn't a good kick. Marked by Somerville at centre half back. Had a couple of options. Careers away now. Kicks the ball wide, not particularly effectively, but they got a good bounce, the Bombers. Forced forward there by Blumfield, but West able to get back. Only his second game for the season. That's Mark West to Scott Wine. Wine's little kick to Hudson. Okay, wanted Dent, decided not to. He's a penetrating kick. Can he get it far enough? Well done, Doolan. Stopped it. Then Colin to Garlick. Garlick run down, gets his kick, sprays it. It was a good tackle. It put him off, and it's out of bounds on the fall.
Good pressure there by the Essendon defenders, but Somerville taking a kick. Every time we see Scotty Wine, or just about every time we see him take the ball, he actually handballs it off, and I think Somerville would be better served if he did the same to the other players around the contest.
There he is, Tim, doing just that as he gets it to Curley. That's Wine I'm talking about. Curley's high ball. Johnson and Buick. Buick belts to the line. Buick's having a good quarter on centre wing on Brad Johnson, and it's a boundary throw-in. The Bombers lead by 10 points.
Next goal might be all important. We've only got 4 minutes left before half-time, but if Essendon can get it and go in 16 points in front, it certainly will be a tremendous advantage for the Bombers. On the other hand, the Bullies struggling to get goals in this quarter. They've only kicked one.
The goals have dried up overall, really, haven't they?
Olorenshaw.
A defensive slog.
Kicks the ball towards half forward. Good mark taken by Croft. Not doing such a bad job for the Bulldogs. Croft in towards the centre. Taken by Dent. Cockatoo Collins minding the mark. Dent to play on quickly with the left foot. Gets it to Ramiro. Just directs play back into the middle of the ground. And then forced to kick long, a little blindly, but it's going to work. He's got good hands, hasn't he, Brett Montgomery?
He's been a very good player tonight. Starts as a forward, goes right up the ground, tries to lose his opponent up the field when he turns them and runs them back towards goals. We see Cockatoo Collins coming off the ground and Barnard going on.
He's looked out of sorts, Cockatoo Collins, hasn't he?
Montgomery yet to kick a goal in this game. And this is the end to which the kicks have just been falling short, right on the goal line. So he's going to have to kick it 50 metres plus. It's not a bad kick. Gets the distance, but not the accuracy. Through for a behind. His first score.
Also Luke Darcy off and Dimartina on, Robbo.
And just on that point there, John, I've just checked with the interchange shield. There's already been 26 changes off the bench for both these teams.
Well, they don't mind using the 22 players, do they, the coaches?
They won't keep the running pressure.
Yeah, my word. Damien Hardwick takes the kick in and then goes very wide. Oh, top mark. Is that paid? No,
yes.
It is.
Yes.
Good, strong mark taken out there by Grant. And Hurd just trying to get that ankle mobile. Probably will have a rest for the rest of the game, you would think, and come back. They'll be working feverishly on his ankle, I'm sure, over the half-time break. 3 minutes left. This is Hudson with the football. Hudson kicked 1 goal.
Sorry, Robbo, they really need to try and get themselves a shot at goal inside 50. The shots they have had from set positions have been around the 50-metre mark. They're difficult to kick on a night like that, on a night like this.
Well, Hudson from outside 50 misses everything by a long, long way. Very uncharacteristic, Paul Hudson. We looked from the reverse angle, and you do get a good look at exactly what happened there. Just let it slip off the side of his boot. Out on the full, free kick to Doolan.
Tucked up in the back pocket, so he's really got one way to go here. And he's kicked it back outside 50. Somerville and Wine together. Built it back by Dent. Grant there with Blumfield and a boundary throw-in. Bulldogs have won 16 second halves this year out of 20. It's a remarkable stat. 16 times this year they've outscored the opposition in the second half. They're the best finishing team in the comp by a long way. So they're behind at the moment. But as Robbo said, and Tim, one more goal here either way is very, very big play. Collinghurst kick to centre half for good mark. Brad Johnson, that was a difficult one. He was running back. He must have known that people were going to come at him, and he held his ground. But again, it's in that range, isn't it?
Watch this good play by Croft. He just got rid of Bervikov out of the contest. Almost a free kick, I may have thought.
Now, can Johnson do what Montgomery and Hudson have been unable to do in the last couple of minutes? Kicked a beautiful goal a few minutes ago. Their only goal for the quarter. A little angle kick. Now he's leant back. He's kicked it strongly, but again he's missed to the right-hand side. So that's the way the ball's been going. And they're peppering, aren't they, to use that old cliche. 5-9 to 7-5. And so often in situations like this, a good opposition will take it down the other end and sting you with a goal. Let's see if the Bombers can do that.
O'Donnell just slipped as he kicked, but it found Wellman out wide, and it just might happen here, Bruce, because Buick has got the ball wide on the wing, kicks in towards half-foot. Good mark, Lucas. He's run out of bounds. Umpire has given him the all clear. Kicks to the goal square. It bounces by, gee, that could have been a little lucky there for the Bulldogs. Heffernan, if that's kept in, it's got to be a throw, doesn't it? No, it's over for a boundary throw-in.
Robbo, if we have a look at O'Donnell here, his foot's not allowed to touch the line, and that certainly looks as though Gary O'Donnell's trying to pinch every bit.
James Hurd back on.
Hurd back on with a minute and a half left. Bombers might have got a goal here out of that boundary throw-in. No, just missing. Off to the right, and there's Hurd back onto the ground before half-time.
Still looks proppy though, Robbo.
Is there any advantage of having him on with the minute and a half left?
Well, I guess it gives you the idea about whether or not he's going to be able to take any further part of this game. You're running for a minute, and then you've got the half-time break, the long break, to actually work on his ankle and perhaps deaden it for the second half.
Cameron's kicked to himself and then to Wine. Front spot, Somerville at the back. Ramiro there, goes to ground. Mercedes onto him. When you say deaden, do they still use needles? I mean, how do you deaden an? They give him a jab?
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Wouldn't you love to be in there at halftime and having a look at how they work on Hurd to see if they can get him back? There he is. He stood tall tonight, as he so often does. He's kicked 3 goals in the opening half, along with Lloyd. The bounce favoured Wine. Ramiro's been important. Kicks the ball back. Blumfield underneath. Couldn't take the mark. Grant missed it. It was a hard ball. Croft forced forward to Grant. Gave him an opportunity. He's going to a vacant goal. It's a bouncing ball. Has it got any legs? Not really. Wellman. Gee, he made a meal of it, didn't he? And it eventually went over the line. It was a heart stopper. Wellman here with the ball. Never quite going to make it, but gee, Wellman taking a huge chance with Cook on his hammer and unable to really make a real clean go of it. But he gets it out to Wellman, and Wellman now kicks it wide, and Croft's got it. So the Bombers are struggling in this area. It's 5-10 to 7-6. One last chance here for the Bulldogs. Croft's kick. This is the important mark. Can Grant take it? He doesn't. Cook does. It's flown over the bat, and Cook has been paid the mark.
Hardwick suggesting it was touched, Bruce, as are a couple of other Bomber players.
I don't think Gary O'Donnell was very happy.
It actually looked like it went through his hand, didn't it? Just watch this closely again. Here's the kick from Croft, and over the top. Yeah.
O'Donnell touching it by the look of it.
Yeah.
Well, the big kick here, right on half-time. Cook to bring the Bulldogs within 2 points of the Bombers at the long break. Cook lines them up, and he's kicked it on half-time. It's been a big first half, and this team is the best finishing team in the comp. As we said earlier, 16 times in 20, they've finished over the top of the opposition in the second half. So it is absolutely perfectly set up. And Ramiro, as he so often does going into a break, is stirring the pot here and making sure that the players go in with a fair bit of steam on them as they go into half-time.
And I thought only the captains were allowed to talk to the umpires. They're all having a bit of a dip about that decision, maybe.
I think they're probably talking more and directing more of their conversation to each other. And there's no doubt about that. Bruce said it quite correctly, that the Bulldogs do like to stir the pot at these half-time intervals. And the Essendon players would do a lot better if they just kept their composure. It's Essendon by 2 points at half-time.
As we start the second half of Friday night football, one of the big ones in 98. This will sort a few out. If the Bombers win tonight, they'll be third on the table at the end of the night. And if the Bulldogs win, they'll be on top of the table. So a huge match here. The ball goes forward to Heffernan. Heffernan lets loose. This will be close. I think it's a goal. He's got it. What a start. Nobody's warmed up. And he's dogged one.
Well, we saw the Western Bulldogs kick a goal within 20 seconds of the half-time siren. Now we've seen Essendon reply within 20 seconds after the half-time siren. And that was a good bit of finishing there by Heffernan. Just lucky that he actually found that running ball, because it was a bad bounce for the Western Bulldogs on that occasion. But you've got to take your chances. And on that occasion, Chris Heffernan did with both hands.
Well, he was pretty good in the first quarter, the tough first quarter. Just a couple of possessions in the second term, but already a goal against his name in this third term. O'Donnell dispossessed. Johnson tries to take the ball with him as he gets through that pack of players.
Robbo, just to keep you up to date with the interchanges, O'Connor, Buick, Calthorpe and Fraser for Essendon, and Darcy, Martin, West and Liberatory for Western Bulldogs.
Good on you, Dip. I think that's going to be important, how they handle these players and how they finish the game, because there's not going to be much in this, you wouldn't think, at the finish. Mercury, Garlick in the back.
Clearly, Robbo.
Well, it doesn't need much explanation, does it, John, really?
No, I mean, this is the reverse angle replay, and clearly pushed in the back in that tackle.
Mercury across the line. Lloyd tries to get rid of Crediuk. And Lloyd looking for a kick, maybe in danger there. Cockatoo Collins confronted by Rowan Smith. Blumfield tries to get it clear. Now the umpire's found a free kick. It might be going to Michael Long.
Just quickly, Robbo, the reason that kick wasn't paid was because the kick will only be paid if it's an indiscriminate kick in danger rather than just a little toe tap. And that looked like a toe tap.
I think every football fan would love to see Michael Long. Lloyd, has he marked that? No, it's gone the other way to Curley.
Signal for a push, Robbo.
A push, was it? Did you think Lloyd marked the ball anyway?
Oh, he marked the ball anyway, for sure.
Well, the hand pass by Wind to Dent, and Dent goes wide and finds Curley. Curley's at right half-back. He's going to get some support from Garlick, just trying to keep James Hurd away, but Hurd was able to crash through. Eventually the kick was rather ordinary, so it's going to go bouncing back, and look at the Bombers here. A player on his own is Mercury. receiving from Olorenshaw. Mercury short. That's okay too, and the mark is taken by Somerville. Too far out to score. We saw the Bulldogs in the second term have some flying shots from 50 metres. They kicked 2 goals 5 in the second term. Kicked by Somerville off the side of his boot, and is well marked there by Brad Wirra.
Didn't give his forwards a chance, the big fellow, as Wirra goes out wide to Brad Johnson. He's made it. He's a very fast athlete, as we know. Kicks the ball very wide, and too wide for Hudson. And also Hardwick, a boundary throw in. The Bombers lead by 8 points here. Mark West, Michael Martin and Tony Liberatore. Here's the Herd chasing there against Curley. And you can feel the pain, can't you? As we looked at Herd there, he's back, his ankle's been taped up. He probably has been given something to try and get him through part of this second half. If you could sneak a goal or two, it'd be worthwhile. Quick kick by Dimatina, a high ball. Croft, who's up forward, Berbatov, and also Barnard. Read pretty well in the front there by Hudson. Cook's got it, and Cook's got a goal. His second. 2 to Cook. Suddenly becoming a factor. They do need a goal scorer, and the match closes again to 2 points.
They were just an irresistible force then when they went towards goals. At the throw-in, they just had the players moving forward. And Cook just having the presence of mind to finish that. But the Western Bulldogs, they took all the players to the throw-in. They had the numbers at the ball, and then they just forced the ball forward.
So a goal each in the early part of the third term. Essendon lead. They're 54 to 52. Ramiro tackled by O'Donnell. Still has the football. Umpire allows play to go on. Mercedes a little high against Grant? No.
Yeah, well, it was high on our side, Robbo, but the umpire on the far side of play and certainly wouldn't have been able to see it.
Tim, this Essendon half-back line's playing really good tonight with Chris Grant not dominating. Also, Roman Smith just can't find a kick at the moment.
Just didn't quite see the what could have been deemed as an infringement against the Bulldogs, but play goes on now. Blumfield to Olorenshaw, not able to get his foot to the ball. And Dimatina just holding up Johnson there. Scotty Wine not happy with Damien Hardwick, but the umpire will bounce.
They're the battles you have to win, aren't they? They're the centre break battles, and neither side prepared to give a centimetre in there.
And it's quite obvious that the whole 18 from either side are aware of that. Very, very much a bit of an Indian arm wrestle at the moment. Good knockout there by Somerville to West. West across the line. Johnson dispossessed by Doolan. Then Berbatov to Blumfield. In turn to Wellman. Gathered it well, did Sean Wellman, and then kicked it nicely to Mercedes. Mercedes got a player in the middle of the ground that he can go to, and he does it beautifully. No, a little too high for Heffernan. Well, that's the swirling breeze. It may go bouncing back. Cameron finds Dent, and the Bulldogs have possession on centre wing.
Dent to half forward, Croft, and also Grant. Grant's got it. Started very well in the first quarter. Bits and pieces in the second term. Reflected a bit of the match, actually, because the match was an absolute steamer early. It was a magnificent opening term. Kicked a full forward. Montgomery, did he get second touch? But he's taken the mark. Thought one of the doggies in front of him might have just touched the ball on the way through. But Montgomery's marked it well and truly within kicking distance. And fair enough, Croft stretching, but had very little of it. And Montgomery should kick a goal and put the Bulldogs in front for the first time in a little while. They haven't been in front for a while. The Bombers got to the front in the second quarter and stayed there. They were about a goal and a half in front for most of the second term. And early in this third quarter, Montgomery too careful. He has missed it. And they have missed a few, haven't they, when you think about that second quarter.
He's a real worry for the Essendon defence, actually. They're finding it difficult to match up with him because he does run. He can take the ball above his head. He's a good mark. And Ben Doolan's the player minding him at the moment. And I think when the ball does go in the air, Doolan may perhaps get lost.
O'Donnell to himself and then goes as far as he can. Wellman, Cook's got it. He's really getting himself involved here, Cook. Might have got a nick, but no blood there. He's just going to give it off. Running forward, Dent. Dent delivers to centre half for Grant. Big fly. Couldn't hold it. Nearly had it. And now the Bombers are onto him. And it'll be a ball up. So Essendon lead by a point. 54 to 53.
It's really a case of a very tight situation. Just watch this Grant attempt again. The ball just slipping through his hands. But when you do have control of the ball in an evenly contested game, you've got to make the most of the opportunities, don't you? Because you know that you're not going to have control of the ball for too long.
No doubt about that, and Essendon under a little bit of pressure across their half-back line. Collinute, the ball bounced nicely for Steve Collinute. He goes for goal and misses just to the right.
Well, Essendon had control probably for the first few minutes of play, and now it's the Bulldogs' turn to control the ball. They're taking the ball inside their forward 50. What they have to do is they have to put 6 pointers on the ball.
Bit of excitement adjacent to the MCG at Olympic Park. Some fireworks for the Melbourne Storm game being held over there tonight. The kick-in has been marked by Johnson. Does well and then doesn't mess around. Collinute, another chance to Steve Collinute. Oh, good mark to Hudson, right on the goal line. It'll be interesting, the angle here, right in front.
Be right in front, Robbo, and as it should be too, because where Hudson took the mark, he was very nearly in front of the... he's actually dragging around more than I thought he would have.
Well, it looked as though it was right in the middle of the goal post, but he'll kick this goal. He's a good goal kicker, Hudson. He's kicked two. The Bulldogs have the lead. It's a 6-point advantage to the boys from the Whitten Oval.
And once again, the Bombers having trouble clearing the ball after a behind. They've really struggled in that area all night. They haven't looked comfortable at all. In fact, I think the only time they've looked half comfortable is when O'Donnell's been kicking the ball out. But Joe Mercedes has really struggled when he's had the ball in his possession to find a target.
Third time in his career he's kicked 50 goals in a season, Hudson. He got 51 in 1993 for Hawthorn and 62 in his second season when they won the premiership in 91. So it's a great return. 3 times over 50 for a non-full forward is a very fine record. And tonight he's kicked his second and his 50th for the season.
And when you talk about father and son situations, his father was a champion goal kicker as well. So it's a great history those two boys have produced for their family.
8-6 to 8-12 here. So now the Doggies are back in front. Johnson's kick out of the centre. Doesn't go far. Taken by Wellman. He's gone. Caught. Grant ran him down. Rather Montgomery. And the free kick's going to Montgomery.
Come back, won't it?
So it's going to come back.
The reason it will come back is because the umpire didn't call play under advantage very quickly. And once he doesn't call play under advantage quickly, then they would consider that to be too much of a disadvantage. Here we see Wellman's got a prior opportunity. He's tackled by Montgomery and doesn't kick or handball the ball, so free kick for incorrect disposal.
Even though Essendon are only 6 points behind, it's a critical stage of the game because you get the feeling the Bulldogs are really starting to get on top.
Grant's got it. Yes, I agree with you, Tim. They've taken charge since the Heffernan goal in the opening half a minute of this second half. And Chris Grant, who kicked the first goal of the match, he missed one from about here in the first quarter, and he has been nervous with these this season.
Once again, Bruce has got to go the right-hand goalpost, as the breeze is certainly very swirly, as we mentioned all night.
Probably a couple of metres further out this time, isn't it?
Take a leaf out of Paul Hudson's book and kick it emphatically at someone straight behind the goal umpire.
Well, he's got a chance to put the Bulldogs a couple in front here. A big kick coming up. He's given it all he's got, and it's missed. It's a behind. So he just can't buy one of those. And 1-2 to Chris Grant, but he is impacting on this game. It's 8-6 to 8-13. The interchange, Mark West, Tony Liberatore, Michael Martin, 3 of them. And I noticed that 3 warmed up. Long's off, by the way. Calthorpe on for the Bombers. So they were the 3 that warmed up a moment ago. So I'm not sure about the 4th one. Barnard's gone as far as he can to Wellman. Croft was in the front spot. Wellman read it well over the back and goes from centre wing.
Wellman's kick in the area of Lloyd, taken by Curley. Umpire calls play on. Croft did well, got the ball to Cameron. Cameron down the ground for the Bulldogs. There's a loose player on. Rowan Smith might go all the way here. He's looking for the short pass. No, he's not. He's kicked it in the direction of Cook. Just couldn't quite hold on to the mark. And slips through his fingers and scores a behind. Rowan Smith not happy there. And I am sure that he's just disappointed maybe with an umpiring decision.
This is the one, Robbo, where Lloyd was actually attempting to take that mark and then making out as though he was dragged off the ball, and I don't really think that he was. So a correct play on call by the umpire, I think.
Thanks, John. 62 plays 54. 12 minutes left in the third term. The kick in, knocked mark there by Wellman, gathered there by Dimatina, a little bit too emphatic there for Wirra. Wirra able to recover. Oh, well done. Dancing and weaving, gets the ball to Montgomery. Montgomery goes straight towards goal. Cook from behind couldn't take the mark. Trying to tidy up as Hardwick. Handball away to Doolan, and Doolan will relieve for the Bombers.
Kicks it to Cockatoo Collins. He kicks it too far. With him is Cameron. Well done, Cameron. Cockatoo Collins without a kick so far in this match. Cameron kicks the ball to half forward. There are 3 Bombers players there, and Croft is going to get a free kick.
Yeah, Croft was... the signal given was for a Shepherd, so I would suggest the umpire believes that Croft was prevented from contesting that marking contest.
Tell you what, John, a lot of free kicks in marking contests tonight, have you noticed?
Yeah, well, you can see then that Croft was certainly an objective, and they didn't want him to get near that marking contest, so reasonable to pay the kick.
Cook's got it. So Cook's become a factor, hasn't he?
Well, we know he's within kicking distance, and the Western Bulldogs are just in control of general play at the moment. I think Essendon do have to make some changes. I'd be considering getting Buick onto the ball somehow. They need to get a spark in the midfield, maybe pushing Mercury up there as well. They just aren't getting their hands on nearly enough of the ball around the middle of the ground. And this fella now has the chance to kick the Western Bulldogs further ahead and kick his 3rd goal.
Be the big lead of the match, wouldn't it, if he can kick this? We'll put them 14 points in front. He's 50 metres out. He has kicked it. He's kicked his 3rd. Suddenly they're away. They've charged away. 9-14 to 8-6, and the scoreboard looks lopsided all of a sudden, doesn't it?
1 goal 8, yep.
23 shots
to 14.
To 14. That's a significant difference. And at halftime, it was 29 times into their 50 to 23. And I dare say, I haven't got the statistics in front of me, but I would dare say that that is a very lopsided statistic in this 3rd term. In fact, it's 10 to 3 inside 50, the Western Bulldogs' way in this 3rd term.
Scotty Wine missed it altogether. Taken by Johnson for the Bombers. Good mark to Lloyd in front of Credior. Well, maybe if they can get one back here, the game is still to be won. The ascendancy with the Bulldogs right now. 14 points is their lead, but Matthew Lloyd going for goal number 4 could bring it back to just 8 points. Bombers, there you see, ranked 8th in defence overall. The kick by Lloyd, it looks pretty good. He's got 4. Well done, a good kick. So an excellent return by Lloyd, 4 goals. He's had just 7 kicks, and the Bombers have got their 9th on the scoreboard.
And that really highlights what we were talking about prior to the game, doesn't it? The fact that Essendon have taken it inside. They're attacking 50, the least number of times in the competition, yet they have the 4th ranked attack in the competition. So when they get it in there, they're very efficient, as we see there by Matthew Lloyd on that occasion, kicking his 4th goal.
So Matthew Lloyd kicking his 61st goal for season 1998. Wine gets it down, taken by Heffernan, not able to break the Dimatina tackle, gets back onto the football, hand pass just a little bit smothered there. Ramiro, you can see that just the absolute, well, it was terrific, I thought, and just let them keep going, but the umpire found a free kick that went to Ramiro.
He's holding a man, Robert.
Gets it to Smith. Smith can put the Bombers under pressure here. Cook forced through in the finish, taken over by Berbakoff for a behind. Terry Wallace would be reasonably satisfied. He wouldn't have liked the last goal that Matthew Lloyd kicked for the Bombers, but they're in front at this stage by 9 points are the Bulldogs.
Barnard to kick it back in.
They're actually just stronger at the ball, the Bulldogs, aren't they, in that midfield section of the ground?
It was that endurance that was always going to be a worry for the Bombers, but they've come from behind quite a few times this year to win, so you wouldn't count them out, particularly with Lloyd up forward and maybe Hurd and Lucas. Montgomery kicks it very wide to Smith, who could be so dangerous in this situation, to Colin-Nuke, turned his back, got back. Colin-Nuke at 50, centering kick is poor and marked by Blumfield. It's the one criticism in Colin-Nuke, isn't it? That at times he can be too casual, and that was just symbolic of some of the play throughout his up and down career, but he's had a good season. Blumfield's little one to Johnson, who's their main goer in the centre square. Johnson getting the ball out to Hardwick. Hardwick measures the ball. Lucas, boot mark by Dent, who was turned inside out by Hurd early, but has done a big job since.
Worked his way back in the game. He's done a good job on Lucas.
Here's his midfield run. Dimartina providing it and kicks to the pocket. Too far? No. Oh, interesting mark paid by Johnson.
No, he's given it there.
The boundary umpire was very late blowing it.
He might have looked at the goalie.
Yeah, could well have looked at the goal umpire.
It looked out. It looked out.
Yeah.
Wayne Harms didn't reckon it was out.
Yeah, the goal umpire signalled at the background, Robbo, you're right.
So Hardwick's kick doesn't get it far enough, and Grant's got it. Lucas is just going to have to take a couple of marks here. Dent and Grant able to outmark him. One from the back and one from the front. Grant delivers to centre half forward. They're confident. Have a look at this. He's kicked it to Montgomery, who's still 50 metres out, who's had the yips tonight when kicking for goal. He's had real problems. And he's looking and looking. And handball's off. Well, this is interesting to Kolonyuk, who sets sail and gives it all he's got and kicks the goal. Is it a free kick? It's a goal anyway to Kolonyuk. Little man, big kick. Oh, gee, I'm glad I just pronounced that properly. 9-6 to 10-15.
That's like a soccer goal, isn't it? You know, trying to get past a line of defenders.
Which
don't take the kick yourself.
Yeah, it actually looked like a set play, Robbo, because he's gone back a long way to take the kick, and it almost looked as though Kolonyuk was expecting the handball all along, because he was really set to take that kick from the outset.
I think it was just a matter of one bloke knowing that the distance was beyond him and knowing that the other fella, Kolonyuk, can kick the distance.
Well, Somerville early and then hacks it out of the centre. Buick onto the football. Essendon must reply here. Buick's little left foot kick is good. He's found Fraser, not quite up to half forward. Gets past his opponent, Dimartina. Kicks it into the pocket. Lloyd jumps early. Wasn't that a good mark? Top effort by Lloyd. That's his 4th mark, and he's going for goal number 5. Difficult angle. Have another look at this. Jumped early, kept Curley out of it to his own advantage, and has marked about 40 metres out. But as I said before, a difficult angle, a natural left footer, and coming from that left forward pocket. It'll be a good kick to score a goal.
Be a great kick, Robbo.
Thanks, Dip. As Lloyd prepares, goes, kicks across the face. Up high was Somerville and Scotty Wine. Off hands. Boundary throw in the right forward pocket for the Bombers. They must get a goal here. They trail right now by 15 points. We've got 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Wine and Somerville. There's the inside 50s in this term. The imbalance there. In fact, Lloyd at the moment is, even though he didn't score there, is the man who's threatening most, isn't he, at one end. He's sort of keeping the Bombers' hopes alive here.
The Bulldogs have taken 18 marks to 8, so they're just dominating in general play and in the marking contests.
West to Dent. Handball to Dimartina. They're just running, aren't they? As Dimartina belts the ball back into the centre. Montgomery takes a wonderful spicky. He hung up there forever.
Cadbury's is in this.
Oh.
Cadbury's is in this.
Oh.
Quickly on 2. Great mark. Cook's got Holder at 50. Play on call. Back to Mark West. Mark West to the goal front. Barnard getting back, and the ball rolls through for a behind. Michael Long back on, by the way. Crediuk injured. He's off the ground. Crediuk looks serious. Michael Long back on.
Could be a telling blow because he's been a good defender.
Fantastic mark, this. Plays very tall, doesn't he, for the little fellow. He's quick. He can take a mark. And he's very, very dangerous. Wellman in short. Mercedes, who just has to lift here. He hasn't had a lot of posies, has he? He's got it at centre half back.
Joe Mercedes with possession number 9. His 8th kick, one hand pass. Goes out wide to Somerville. He lost it completely. Croft over the top. The Bulldogs will go forward. Kolonyuk into the pocket. Cook's on his own. And he can go further forward. No. He didn't get back quite quick enough. He perhaps had on his mind, as soon as he took the mark, I must shoot for goal.
That's his knee too. Credial is in a lot of pain there. That's the club doctor, Gary Zimmerman, working on his knee. As James Cook, who has really sprung to life since about the 29.5-minute mark of the second term, when he kicked that goal right on the half-time siren. Been a very good player in this third term, but the Bombers really struggling now to stay with the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs going for now a lead of 22 points. Cook's kick across the face. It may have gone out on the full. It has. Hit the behind post, according to the boundary umpire, James Cook, with his 6th kick. Just suffering a little bit from cramp, maybe, but I'm sure he'll recover. He's having a fair patch in this game. He's kicked 3 goals. The ball with Doolan in the right back pocket. Bulldogs lead by 16 points. Doolan kicks it outside the defensive 50. Darcy, Grant, nearly a mark, gets the handball away. Dimatina, very slippery to West. Rowan Smith will get the distance, and Rowan Smith will kick it behind. Boy, the whole 65,000 would have come to their feet there, I'm sure, if that had gone through.
Well,
1 goal, 2 to Rowan Smith, and we'll have another look at the reaction. He's not happy, and you can tell there's some pressure on out there. Paul Barnard to kick back for the Bombers.
Under the pump, aren't they, the Bombers?
It should be over. It should be all over by now. It's only the inaccurate kicking for the Bulldogs that are keeping Essendon in this game.
Haven't been beaten since round 14 when North beat them here on a Friday night game by 18 points. So they've had a long winning run, but at the moment it's been severely tested. Boundary throw in.
They play for big stakes, don't they, Bruce? I mean, they win tonight, they get that top and second chance, don't they?
They do, Dip, and we just saw a graphic showing that the Bulldogs, the best second-half team in the comp, with 16 second-half victories this season. They do run over the top. Montgomery again, back inside 50, bouncing ball, an important one. Grant couldn't quite get a handle on it. Koloniuk running hard at it. No free kick, interesting. And Cook's got it. Cook still got it. Too slow. Buick over the top was good. To O'Donnell, to Buick. Cook's wrestling behind play with Hardwick. Bouncing ball to Blumfield. Blumfield onto Heffernan. Heffernan slow old kick to Lloyd. He's got it. He's going to go on. He'll kick it, you reckon? He's got his 5th. They're still in it. Barnard and Koloniuk behind play. Lloyd's kicked 5. And he's keeping them in it, really. It was great rebound footy at the back. And I reckon Cook's lack of team play turned his back on Hudson a moment ago when he shot the shot. Lack of team play again then cost the Bulldogs dearly.
Well, if you don't kick the goals, you don't go the 6 points further ahead, then you're always going to give the other side an opportunity. We've already talked about that. The opposition and quality opposition in Essendon, they'll control the ball for a certain number of minutes throughout the game, and they've been very efficient again tonight. 10 goals, 6, is it? Yep. 10 goals, 6. It's a 10-17, so 27 shots to 16. 3 straight
to 4-7 so far in the third term. That's Essendon.
Remember the last quarter? 3 goals to 1-9 last week against Collingwood.
Well, we saw a game. Well, we saw a game last week too, where Port just absolutely dominated against Melbourne in the first half. Did everything but kick goals.
Got it again. He's got 6, hasn't he? No. This one's just drifted away and hit the behind post on the full or gone through for behind.
Robbo, just an update on Crediuk down here. It's not his knee. Just had a corky.
I think Montgomery won that little altercation. And the umpires have got to get right onto this.
Free kick
I think the Bulldogs are going to get the kick.
Well, they are. Paid, so it'll be paid at the back of the centre square rather than where the ball was.
Well, it certainly puts Essendon in a precarious situation because loose players for the Bulldogs out wide. Cameron's kicked to half forward. Grant couldn't quite take the mark. Spills away in the area of Fraser and Dimatina. Taken over for a boundary throw-in. 10 points the margin. It is not all over just yet.
Just enough of an arm in there by Sean Wellman the second time round to stop the grab.
Darcy in front of Barnard. Tries to get it down. Dimatina infringed against. Advantage? No, there's no advantage. Surely it goes back now.
Yeah, called advantage and then decided when the disposal was pretty ineffective that he'd bring it back and give it to Dimatina.
Well, it certainly was congested, and that's a good sign for the Bulldogs. Crediuk running around the boundary line. West for the Bulldogs. Kicks towards full foot. Cook slipped through his hands. Darcy, very slow. Calthorpe to chop it off in the goal square. Short kick, gathered by Doolan. Back to Burbikoff. Burbikoff into the middle. And the mark taken here by Blumfield.
Held up there by Wine. Handball onto Calthorpe. They need a lift here from the midfield. Calthorpe running bounce. The Bombers are coming back hard. Kicks inside 50. Garlick gets to the front, takes a good mark. Herb just can't accelerate with the ankle. He just couldn't get into the frame, could he?
Good play by Garlick there to drop off his man Fraser and just guard that space in front of Herb, though.
Montgomery having a huge term here. Over the top to West. It's 77 to 67. Mark West kicks to centre wing. And a good mark in the front taken by Paul Hudson, who gives Hardwick a shove.
Considering reversing it, but I don't think it will be. Hudson just getting a talking to. And obviously, if the umpire believes that Hudson has pushed Hardwick down, he should reverse it. It seemed to me as though he did push Hardwick down.
Hudson belts it to full forward. Darcy's got it. No, play on. Interesting. What? Barnard to O'Donnell. Gee, had a lot of that. Now O'Donnell is trying to draw a man, and he goes down the centre to Mercury. Mercury runs away. Grant's after him. Mercury kicks to centre wing. Danger play. Good mark. Blumfield is terrific in that situation. 50 metres, yes, against Rowan Smith. Will bring him within scoring distance. Oh, he doesn't like it, Smith.
Can't believe that wasn't a mark down there.
Oh, he's just given Lloyd a heave-ho, and Montgomery's giving him a bit here. They are a belligerent team, the Bulldogs. They hit you with everything, don't they?
That is perhaps the longest 50 metres
in
I
history.
have seen for some time.
Well, if he kicks this, the stands will erupt here because the Bombers are coming back hard. They're in your face all the time, the Bulldogs, aren't they? They are just in your face.
You have to love the way they go about their footage.
Big kick this. Blumfield to bring it back within a goal. They shouldn't be this close. And he has put it. Has he? Has he? No. He's missed it. Right over the goal post. He's disappointed, and so he should be. It was a golden opportunity, and the margin is 9 points.
Give Rowan Smith the rest for a couple of minutes, maybe?
I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a rest. See Crediuk just warming himself back up on the boundary line too.
He's looking a little too interested, if he can ever be that, in a game of football. Dimartino well tackled by Doolan.
And Robbo, just a moment ago, good play there by Scotty Wine to take the mark at that kick that Blumfield took too, because it just made Blumfield have to kick a little bit higher. Got too close to the man on the mark, and I think that actually
fair point
helped push the ball away.
We saw there on the screen, Tim, that the Bombers have won 4 games this year by less than a goal, so they're resilient. Kick by Scotty West. Back goes Collinute. Hardwick was tough though. Away goes Calthorpe. Sets it up for Fraser. Fraser down the ground. Centre half forward. There's a kick down the ground.
And actually Collinute and Barnard were into it behind play as well, Robbo. There really is a lot happening, and somebody's going to have to grab this game by the scruff of the neck before it gets a bit out of hand.
Well, it certainly was to the advantage of the Bulldogs, because Essendon were going forward. Now Ramiro kicks towards the half forward, not quite to half forward. Crofter's mark, short kick. Cook in front, couldn't take the mark. The ball spills to the Bombers' advantage. The little tap by Hurd, not really all that effective for Lloyd. It's still to be won. O'Connor does well. Just certainly went after the football. Hurd around onto his right, kicks into the middle, over the top to Cameron. Cameron goes down the ground. Oh, the Bombers are fortunate here, because Johnson was on his own, was going to lap that up, but the siren sounded as the ball was in transit. So no mark to Johnson. And at three-quarter time, the Bulldogs have a 9-point advantage. They led by nearly 3 goals at one stage in this third term, but they lead by 9 points at the last break.
Big last quarter. It's been a great match. Essendon to the right and the Bulldogs to the left of screen in the last term. Check side kick by Wind out of the centre was a clever option. Got the ball to 50. Grant attacks superbly. Left foot to the front centre half forward, big fly, belted away by Barnard, attacking Smith, went through him, went through West. The footy's hard to get, good handball by Johnson. Collignac's got better as the game's gone on, pushes wide to Hudson. There's players everywhere. Montgomery is a bit slow to get it to him, and Heffernan has taken a beauty. He's come from nowhere to take the mark. Now, he can't take it off him, because if he does, well, I say he can't because of what happened with Hudson earlier in the match. The kick by Heffernan in a one-on-one situation. Front spot there by Blumfield. Got it back to Hardwick. The first goal is vital here. If the Bombers can get it there within a kick, if the Bulldogs get it there, 3 kicks in front. Credioc's back on the ground, that's surprising. Gets it to Cameron. Cameron's at half-back. Caresses the ball to centre wing and finds Brad Johnson, who wanted to go on. But on the mark is Jason Johnson from the Bombers team. Brad Johnson lets fly to centre half forward. Grant running back. Wellman did well. Punches away. Scott West attacks magnificently and kicks a beauty. A great running goal. That's the sort of goal that lifts a team to victory.
Well, that was nearly goal of the night, just the way he played that, wasn't it?
Well, I just think that the Western Bulldogs' preparedness to actually get to that next contest has been far greater than Essendon's all night. Calthorpe's done a reasonable job on holding West. He hasn't been an influential player, but that is a terrific bit of football by him. And
you can probably see there that he's aware of how important that first goal of the last turn is. And fortunately for them, the Bulldogs, they've kicked it, and they give now Essendon a real bit of drama. They've got to kick 3 goals to nothing. In other words, they've got to hold the Bulldogs goalless and score 3 themselves if they're to win this game. Grant kicks it forward. Oh, that's a good mark, isn't it?
He's been the worry.
One of the most improved players in the competition over the last couple of years.
He's been the worry for the Bombers all night. I've thought this bloke just terrific. And once again, Grant getting important touches in the early part of this final term.
It's again been a fairly even performance by the Bulldogs. They've had quite a few good players. Grant has been mentioned, Scotty West in the middle of the ground. This fellow, Brett Montgomery, going for his first goal early in the last quarter. But a 15-point advantage could blow out to 21 if he can kick accurately. Low trajectory across the face of goal. Good mark taken back there by Wellman.
He's had the yips, Robbo, hasn't he? I mean, he gave the handle off to Collier, you can remember in the third quarter.
Yes, it was too, Bruce. Wellman with the ball, goes short and finds Berbakoff, still inside the defensive 50. He in turn goes short, and Rowan Smith was kind to Barnard there. Barnard to Berbakoff again. Berbakoff running down the ground, kicks into the middle. Johnson will mark it. He's like a fresh player. He's taken all of the first quarter on the bench, gets it away to Cameron. Cameron out wide. Cook tries to finesse with the football. O'Donnell knocks it clear, not quite clear enough. Blumfield and Mark West, the ball still inside. Hand pass goes to Somerville, came from Berbakoff. Somerville's short kick is all right, and it's marked there by Heffernan. Hasn't been too bad, Chris Heffernan. Good in the first quarter, quiet in the second term, not bad in the third. Punched away from O'Connor by Croft, and well played in the finish there by Montgomery.
Robbo, just to keep you up to date.
Boundary throw-in. Go, Dip.
Sorry, Robbo, keep you up to date with the benches. Cockatoo Collins, but Massetti and Lucas are staying on the bench here for the Bombers, and also Ola Renshaw.
Gee, Lucas is interesting, isn't it, to have him on the bench? Is he fit, Dipper, as West gets the handball out?
No, he's not, Bruce.
Okay, so there's a problem there. O'Donnell's kicked back into the centre. Lloyd did it well, gets it back to Doolan. It was a clever kick by Doolan, actually, and a clever build on by Barnard. Who's there, though? Curley attacking. Still with Curley. Hurd trying hard. Remember, he's got an injured ankle. He gets on to Curley, who deliberately goes to the boundary line, but you couldn't ping him, and it'll be a boundary throw-in. 83 to 68.
And for the Bulldogs, Bruce, Darcy, Dent, Martin and Liberatore.
Just confirming, Dipper, Lucas is injured?
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not injured. Okay, so he can come back. Thanks for that. So, Wind, O'Connor, who's had a quiet night, comes out, missed by Dent, taken by Fraser. Hurd traps it, gets a high tackle, gets a free kick. Now he's a magnificent kick. He has got an injured ankle. He's going to go to the front of the square and hope for a Lloyd mark. Can he get into the contest? He can't. Tap down to Long. Long gets it forward. Buick taps it back. Calthorpe's high ball to fall forward. In fact, it's gone to the pot, and Dent's got it. And the Bombers made a meal out of all of that.
Actually, Dipper mentioned maybe that Dent was on the bench, but obviously on the ground. I think it might have been Di Martina that is sitting out at presently. Scotty West to Cameron. Cameron from between left half back and left centre wing. Kicks and kicks very well, doesn't he? Just put it in the path of Grant. Handball back to Ramiro. Trying to slip the players on his mark. Is forced to kick high towards the front of the goals. Montgomery nearly took it at the second grab. Cook. Snapshot for goal by James Cook is very wide, but it bounces inside the boundary line, and it will be thrown in very close to the behind post, deep in the Western Bulldogs attacking area.
It is Di Martina there, Robbo, and Mark West is now off the ground, and Michael Martin back on.
Thanks, Dipper, as the boundary umpire throws it in. Somerville and Cook doing the ruck work, taken by Barnard. Just basically kicked it anywhere. He might be happy if this goes over for a boundary throw-in. It does, just in front there of Brett Montgomery.
And Rob, I'll be thinking about putting Scotty Lucas back onto the ground, putting him into the ruck. Ryan O'Connor can take the centre bounce knockouts, but just getting in, because Essendon needs some run from somewhere in their midfield. Most of their other players in the midfield are tied up in contest. They've got to find somebody they can release in that area.
Interesting stat there. The Bulldogs only once in their last 10 games have had over 100 points kicked against them. And this is one of the players that's responsible for that. He's just an effervescent, hard-working midfielder, Scotty West. And so is this guy, Jose Ramiro. Kicks in towards centre-half forward. Grant up high, couldn't take the mark. Ball spills for Rowan Smith. Tried to make the ball his, succeeds, shrugs the tackle, goes for goal. Rowan Smith! Magnificent goal, he's second. It looks very, very likely now that the Bulldogs will go on and win this game. 2 goals, 9, emphatically on the scoreboard, 29 scoring shots to 18, and they lead by 21 points.
Was Nadia-type balance, doesn't he? The ability just to shrug off an opponent, keep his balance, and then kick through the ball.
Well, it was a terrific kick, wasn't it, by Rowan Smith, and great play in the finish.
He's been promising to do it, hasn't he, for a lot of the night. They've belted away here, the Bulldogs. They're 21 points in front, 67,157 the official attendance. A great crowd here for what's been a terrific match, but the Bulldogs are full of running. Colin to centre half forward. Over the top is Heffernan with on the bottom, is it Ramiro? No, it's Montgomery, who's had a wonderful match, and it's going to be a bounce about 40 metres from the Bulldogs' goal. They're doing all the attacking, and the Bombers, who have got out of jail, remember against Carlton here a few weeks back, have got out of jail a couple of times this year. It looks beyond them now. Wind back to Montgomery. Montgomery out on the fall.
He'll kick one sooner or later, won't he?
He's had a few shots, hasn't managed the goal. Mark West and Paul Di Martina there as Berbakoff belts it back, but there are Bulldog players at the fall of the ball all the time. Smith's handball's a good one. Releases Dent. Dent to centre half forward. Hurd got back. Had a fair bit of it not paid. Taken by Hardwick. Hardwick to Doolan. They've got to get a goal against the run of play. O'Connor attacked it hard. Held it up. Couldn't get it out. Gee, they were good there. Garlick was terrific, wasn't he? And Martin. They held their ground. O'Connor, the raging bull, tried everything he could to get the ball free to the running player, but Garlick stood his ground and held them up.
Well, it's important, those little 1%ers that the coaches look at, and I think it's important that they're all assessed at the end of the game.
Won their last 6, by the way, the Bombers, their last 6 matches.
Well, they've been terrific, and it's very, very difficult in an even competition to keep on winning. They'd want to just make sure that they don't lose by a very big margin here. It could be a blowout. Rowan Smith goes wide to Wirra. He's a very reliable player, Brad Wirra. To Leon Cameron, who's been good since half-time. To Rowan Smith, who loves this situation. Gets the hand pass away. Cameron's done well because he was always there in support for Smith. Back to Wirra. Wirra into the pocket. Very, very good team performance if they get a goal here through Johnson. The shot by Johnson. He's a happy man, and the Bullies have got another one. Brad Johnson has kicked 2 goals. He sat the first quarter out on the bench. It's all the Western Bulldogs so far in the last term. They've kicked 3 straight. and Essendon yet to kick a goal.
Well, they really have dominated this game since half-time, the Western Bulldogs. Done everything except kick goals. They just held the ball up here, but they still had two players who were free in the forward line. No pressure on Johnson whatsoever here.
So a few interchanges made with a great goal by Johnson. Hardwick was getting involved with Darcy a moment ago. And this has really been split open, hasn't it? The Bulldogs with this relentless running game. They are so confident. Hurd gets it down to Doolan. Doolan gets it inside 50. A bouncing ball attacking at Crediuk. He's made a remarkable recovery. Lloyd's handball was brilliant to Calthorpe, who kicks the goal. Well played, Lloyd. They need two more. They've got to get two more in the next, say, 5 minutes to give themselves any hope at all. It is only 21 points, but the Bulldogs will just keep coming, won't they?
Well, so do the Bombers. I mean, I think that's one of their fantastic traits, that they're just never, ever beaten.
Well, it's a remarkable statistic, really, when you look at it, that they've only taken the ball inside their 50 35 times. They've scored 11 goals, so they've been extremely efficient again tonight.
Well, that's David Calthorpe on screen, the goal kicker. The Essendon coach's box there with Kevin Sheedy in the middle. And I'm sure he hasn't given up yet. There's still plenty of time, 12 minutes. Calthorpe tries to get it to Hurd. Beaten on this occasion by Ramiro, Johnny.
Ramiro held by James Hurd without having a footy.
And James Hurd just looking a little frustrated. Ramiro's kick. Oh, well marked by Darcy in front of Burbikoff. Probably a very distinct height advantage there. And he put his big long arms up and has taken the mark 50 metres from goal. Luke Darcy preparing for his first shot at goal. Hardwick and Hudson, protagonists, back near the goal square. And it would be a bad blow for Essendon. They got the goal very quickly from David Calthorpe. But if the Bulldogs can answer from this kick of Luke Darcy's, you would think that they might snuff out that Essendon challenge. The kick by Darcy is long, across the face of goal. It's helped over for a boundary throw-in. No, it's hit the behind post on the full, so the free kick will be taken back there by Damien Hardwick.
Be forced to go to the Great Southern stand side of the ground here, and he kicks it outside 50. Somerville there, through him, taken by Barnard. Hurd trying his heart out, got a high tackle for a moment. Back to Olorenshaw, outnumbered, to Barnard, to Doolan. They played it well, to Hurd, to Calthorpe. It's a good build-up. Calthorpe releases O'Donnell. O'Donnell can charge away, 70 metres out. Important kick, he's got Lloyd. They're not out of it. He'll kick a goal. Great play at half-back. They refused to panic. Hurd was involved. The handballs had to be spot on. They were. It was a terrific build-up. This is where it started, Tim. Calthorpe on the end of it, away to O'Donnell. Good experience. And Lloyd, who's kicked 5, can kick his 6th goal here. And if he does, it'll equal the performance of last year, 63 goals in the season.
And the times we have seen Essendon play well recently, it's when Calthorpe has actually been able to find some space in the midfield. He's had his hands full tonight with West.
It's arguably the biggest kick so far in the match. Lloyd drills it home for number 6. They're not dead. They are not dead. There's plenty of time, and they know how to win a game of footy, this team.
Well, they just worked extremely hard here at half-back, just by hand, just to end up getting themselves out of danger, and then the other Essendon players had run forward. That's what you have to do. You have to take chances. They've got to win the game.
Well, just 20 years of age, Matthew Lloyd, and he really is standing up here. He's captain, playing under difficulties, James Hurd, in the middle of the ground for this centre bounce. And Lloyd, 6 goals against his name up on the full forward line. Wellman dispossessed there by Dimatina, and the umpire maybe, yes, it looks as though he's going to bounce the ball.
Lucas is back on the ground. He's been picked up by Croft, playing across centre half forward, and Lloyd been given a lot of space deep in the forward line.
James Hird, tackled by his opposite number, Wind, but...
Tackled high, Robbo.
Little high, was it, John? And the free kick will go to the Essendon captain, Hird, who kicked 3 goals early in the game. Suffered an ankle injury late in the second term. Punched away there by Croft. Tackled maybe a little high there on Mercury. Dimatina well tackled by Calthorpe. Pushing over just before that.
Yeah. Deemed that Calthorpe propelled him forward in that tackle, so paid for a push in the back.
Well, it's been pretty hot out there. We'll have another look at it.
That's the one.
Yes, it looks as though it's quite clear from the replay. Of course, the umpires don't get the chance to have a look at a replay. Scotty Wind has made good position and is marked on centre wing. Steady the ship. 15 points is the advantage. Gives the hand pass to Garlick. Garlick goes direct towards centre half forward. In the area of Grant and Darcy, the ball spills to Berbatov. Tackled by Ramiro. It might be an important tackle, mightn't it? No, it was a little bit too fierce, according to the umpire.
It'll be paid downfield to Gary O'Donnell because that's where the ball was at the time he was slung.
Across to Wellman and away go the Bombers.
He looked up, Robbo, and he saw Scotty Wind, so he had to have another look to Mercury, to Fraser. It was a good runner, well played by Wind. Well done, good tackle, Mercury. But Wines was the big play. Doolan ducks his head. Fraser's handball. Calthorpe high tackle. Did very well, Calthorpe. He knew that he didn't have the leg speed to get through. He had to force a high tackle, and he did it very well. It's going to come back, and he's going to get a free kick at centre wing. He was in trouble, wasn't he? And he just ducked down and felt it well. Pushes the ball across the centre. And the Bombers are building here. Blumfield's got it. Long, short for him if he wants it, if that makes sense. Blumfield goes high. Can Lucas get into the game? Ball over the back. Darcy will roll it out of play. Lloyd's with him. A rather long and a boundary throw in. Bombers not dead here. They're just coming home. 80 to 95. They've kicked the last 2. There's the centre breaks. And Hurd's actually been able to get his hands on it a bit, hasn't he, in the last few minutes. Ball comes over the back. Buick still with well played Wira. Well played. Curley got a terrific kick away in a crunch situation. Hardwick dived, couldn't take the mark. And the Bulldogs, I think, are happy. It's been held up.
Libba warming up on the boundary line. So maybe Terry Wallace to call on the heart and soul of the Western Bulldogs, Tony Liberatore, to play out the remaining 8 minutes. Essendon have played in 9 games, decided by 2 goals or less. By G is another chance here. Hardwick in short. No mark taken by Cockatoo Collins. Ball spills to Hudson. Nice little hand pass to the advantage of Credihook. He'll be happy to see it over. And Ricky Olorenshaw makes a certainty of it. Will be thrown in.
You wonder really why Shea Cockatoo Collins would station himself right down in front of Matthew Lloyd, where Matthew Lloyd has been such a wonderful target when he's played alone deep in the forward line.
Darcy doing the ruck work, taken by Buick, tries to tap it to the advantage of his teammate. Scotty West, in goes Calthorpe. West again, tries to get the hand pass to Dimatina. His hand pass smothered by Doolan. Good in and under play by all players, and it's still there. Calthorpe struggling, and Olorenshaw happy with his efforts, but the umpire will bounce right in front of the Essendon goal. 15 points is the advantage. Getting down to 7 minutes left in the game, and it's right in front of the Bombers' goal, only 35 to 40 metres out. Now, Somerville, is there a bit of blood here, maybe? No.
No, a bit of cheek, I think.
Maybe a dispute with the umpire. James Cook has kicked 3 goals for the Bulldogs. He's presently on the bench as we watch Somerville and Wind. Wind again. Takes the ball away, kicks it out very wide. Getting onto it is Olorenshaw, but so is Brad Johnson. And he hasn't kept it in. Long has, very skillfully to Hardwick. In short, Hurd is marked. Very much restricted, but he's got a big heart. He's trying to bring his team home in the latter part of this game. Short kick, mark taken by Lucas.
Good kick.
Lucas is marked 35 metres out. 45-degree angle, and if he kicks this, it's just 9 points the margin.
And that was all set up after they played out that boundary line situation there. Olorenshaw just keeping the ball alive, and that's all you have to do.
Lucas going for his first goal. It's there. Essendon coming and coming. First goal to Scott Lucas. He's had a quiet night. Just 7 kicks. But you can see there the inaccuracy of the Bulldogs and the efficiency of the Bombers. Just 9 points the margin.
Liberatore back on the ground, but it was just that playing out there by Rick Olrenshaw kept the ball alive. Michael Long threw it on there to Damien Hardwick. Very lucky to get away with that. And then Hardwick over to Hurd, but it was that intelligent kick by Hurd.
Libba back on. The Bombers back in it. Hurd's been huge in the last 10 minutes. Essendon have kicked the last 3 goals. They're within 2 goals. Somerville gets over the top. Libba can't get through. And the tackling is terrific by Doolan to Calthorpe. Calthorpe wide. Taken by Olorenshaw on his wrong side. Kicks to the pocket. Lucas was over the top.
Yeah,
it's a free kick.
For sure, Bruce.
Tim, I can't believe Lucas is on the interchange for so long in this last quarter.
Well, he's had a poor game, though, Bruce. There's no doubt about that. He has been beaten across half-back. I can't believe that Essendon are actually in a situation or in a position where they can win the game. The Bulldogs have outplayed them for so much of this second half.
They've got to keep attacking the Bulldogs here because they're in a nervous position, aren't they? They had the game won, 27 points up, and yet they're under the pump now. Olorenshaw will it sit. Well done, high tackle. Advantage paid. Given to Wellman. Wellman kicks it back to centre half forward. Lucas got a bad bounce. They're unlucky. And Croft belts it back. Big play here. Hudson and Hardwick. Hardwick in the front spot. Hudson and Johnson onto him. They can't get clear. Long tried to get out. Kick out wide by Fraser. To centre wing, wonderful Mark Mercury.
Essendon love that matchup, Liberatore and Mercury, especially in the air.
It's got players running everywhere. Mercury kicks to Hurd, who's having a wonderful last quarter. He could nearly go all the way, Jimmy boy. Decides to put it up. Big kick. Lloyd. He hits the post. The Bombers are coming home. They're charging at them here. 87 to 95.
Well, it's amazing how the tide turns. Terry Wallace now with some concerns because with 5 minutes left, it's just an 8-point advantage to the Bulldogs, and it could have been much closer. Nearly the mark to Dimatina. Curley and Cockatoo Collins. Umpires found a free kick. May have been a bit fortunate there, Todd Curley. Cockatoo Collins not too happy.
The signal was for a push in the back, Robbo.
So the ball with the Western Bulldogs defender, Todd Curley, at left half-back. Still kickless. Cockatoo Collins. Kick out wide, been marked by Michael Long. Plays on quickly. Obviously the instruction there to just keep the pressure right on. Wellman's kick to half forward. Bulldogs mark taken by Crediuk.
Crediuk to Garlick. Garlick running away. Kicks out wide. Long's got it again. He wanted Grant there. Long onto Wellman. Wellman can go all the way here and kick it long to Lloyd. Can he get to Lucas? Belted away by Prof was terrific. The Bulldogs defending. Cockatoo Collins. Handball to Calthorpe. Calthorpe going for it. Hooks it and kicks it behind. They're getting closer. It's 7 points of difference.
And Michael Long has actually pushed himself back, and he's had some important touches in this last quarter. Some of the more experienced Essendon players have come into the game.
Wellman's had some touches too, hasn't he? Feeding off Long in this quarter. Well, the Bulldogs under the pump here. They've deserved to win, but they're being challenged. West handball to Willa, to Dimatina. Dimatina runs away. They've got to keep attacking the Bulldogs here. Oh, what a fly by Montgomery. Ambitious, though. And they're away here. Hurd's got it. Can he turn his man inside out? Curley's onto him. Goes to Fraser, too long. Gets his kick and hooks it. There's a goal, the difference. The Bombers this year have won 4 matches by 6 points or under and 5 by 10 or under, and they're within a kick. 13-11 to 13-17.
Bit of anxiety in that coach's box. 6 points the margin. Dent goes short. At the feet of Johnson, able to gather the ball. Goes very wide. The kick not really to the advantage of his teammate, which was Montgomery. Blumfield, couple of important possessions. No mark taken. Hurd, handball. Lloyd going for goal number 7. Lloyd hooks the kick. It's out on the full. 6 points the margin. 3 minutes left. And Matthew Lloyd, 6 goals 2 against his name, Liberatore, with the football in the left back pocket. Libba goes for distance. Still there. Barnard is marked. Plays on. Fraser goes for goal. He's missed. Well, this is similar to the Bulldogs in the third quarter when they kicked 4 goals 7 against the Essendon 3 goals 2. But Tim, you've got an interesting stat there.
Well, have a look at the way it's turned around this last term. Essendon have now taken the ball inside. They're attacking 50 on 15 occasions to the Bulldogs 8. So the Bulldogs have actually stopped.
Long did well against Wine. Ramiro's there. Also, Mark West. The Bombers are playing on at every opportunity, and it's going to be a bounce. Fraser's kicked the last 2 points. They were 27 points in front of the Bulldogs. They were home. They were playing magnificent football, running football that was tearing the Bombers apart. And yet Essendon has been able to put themselves back within a kick, and they have all the momentum. Wine and Somerville. Wine lays it down. One thing you know, the Bulldogs will be brave here. They won't give an inch. West wants the line. O'Donnell gets it back. Not far enough. Ramiro, and it'll be a bounce.
A desperate lunge down, Bruce, by Ramiro then, wasn't it? Fantastic.
Tipper, what do you think from down there?
Well, I just reckon that the Bulldogs are just trying to chip around and try to save the game the last 3 or 4 minutes, but I reckon the Bulldogs can hang on here.
Jose and David out it now. Scott Hurst, belligerent right to the end here. What a magnificent game it's been.
It's going to be like losing 2 games, I think, if the Bulldogs drop this.
Somerville Wine, Mark West, fresh legs. Kick was smothered. Barnard stretched a hand out, gets back onto it. Can he handball to Doolan? He does. Doolan's got O'Donnell in the centre. He slips back to Hardwick. Hardwick measures the kick. Cockatoo Collins can't get into it.
Great play.
Ryan did it, didn't he? You can't blame Cockatoo Collins for that one. The captain put himself in the posse and took the mark.
Well, he's experienced, Scotty Wine. He knows that Essendon has to attack. They trail by 5 points. He put himself right in the firing line there. Now he'll just take his time.
7th mark to Scott Wine. Goes across the line and finds Garlick. He can steady. They might waste some time here.
Yeah, it's too early to ice the clock, though.
Down under 2 minutes. Essendon manning up. Wellman has come down a long way to man up on Scotty Wine. Garlick goes long. Doesn't quite get to half forward. It'll be marked by Somerville. Looking to play on. He's got his back to the play. Now he gets it away to Calthorpe. Calthorpe has been effervescent in this last quarter. The kick in towards half forward.
Push against James Hird, Robbo. James Hird, hands in the middle of his opponent's back, and there's Rob. Terry Wallace in the top left-hand corner looking very, very anxious.
How the tide turns. It was Kevin Sheedy about 10 minutes ago. Now the pressure back on Terry Wallace. It has been a sensational game of footy, and the Bulldogs have the advantage. It is less than a goal. Important possessions in the last minute and a half. Dent goes long, gets good distance with the kick.
Grant held by Somerville prior to the ball arriving there, Robbo, so he will take the free kick.
Still too far out to score, but he may hang on to it long enough. The seconds ticking away. By the time he kicks this, there'll be less than a minute left in the game. 5 points is the advantage to the Western Bulldogs. The player on the mark is 53 metres from goal. He goes short, looks for and finds Cook. Well, he's been on the bench for a long, long time in this last quarter. He kicked 3 goals in the first 3 terms. And now a very important shot at goal here by James Cook.
Good bit of play there by Mark West. Mark West actually shepherded one of the Essendon players away. They stood together. He blocked for James Cook to actually get a metre start on his opponent, and that's all he needed with that perfect pass there by Grant.
If he scores, the Bombers can't win. Even if he gets a point, they could draw maybe, they couldn't win.
You can see there, 44, 43, down to 40 seconds left. Cook going for goal number 4. Cook kicks, and Cook goals. Great kick. He's kicked a couple of important goals. One just before half-time, another one in the third quarter. And his fourth goal looks as though it's given the victory to the Bulldogs.
It was a very reckless free kick by Somerville against Chris Grant. They just couldn't afford to have a mark taken on that occasion or to give away a free kick.
They're home, the Bulldogs. It's been a magnificent contest. And they'll either be top or second at the end of this round, and they'll be playing for top next week. They have not finished on top of a home and away season in their history. They've only won the one flag. So they'll be playing for a bit of Bulldog history next Friday night at the Melbourne Cricket Ground when they take on North Melbourne. This was the first of 4 blockbusters to start this weekend. Going to Waverley tomorrow with the Saints and West Coast, Adelaide tomorrow night with North Melbourne and the Crows, and finishing Monday night here with Melbourne and Sydney. The top 8 all playing one another in round 21. And what a game this has been. Ball wide, Long's after it. Could they get a late goal just to make it less than a kick? Kicks the ball inside 50, bouncing ball, Cockatoo Collins, first kick for the night, and the siren sounds, and the Bulldogs are top of the table tonight. It was a fantastic match with a grandstand finish. They kicked 4 straight in the last quarter to 3-4. 15 wins for the season. Liver was back. That was great to see. Shakes Michael Long's hand. Mark Doran's trying to get a word with him. 67,000 saw a thriller. And the good thing, Mark's down there with the liver. Mark.
He's a hard man to tag. Tone, welcome back. What a way to come back.
Yeah, it's excellent. I'd say same.
He's off.
He's gone. He's up to see Gary O'Donnell. He's coming back. Always a sportsman. Yeah. A lot of people said your career was finished 17 weeks ago.
I think you did. No, look, it's great to be out there and just be a part of the team. And, you know, the team's bigger than individual.
Mate, what does footy mean to you?
Life, everything. It's great.
Okay, now you might have something big coming up.
Yeah, well, we're pretty much short of 1-2 position now, so hopefully we can go all the way. It's a lot of hard work to go, though.
Thanks, Tone. You feel all right? How's the knee?
Great, no worries.
Okay, I won't write you off again.
Okay. Terry Wallace is with Dipper. Dipper, great.
It certainly
match.
is, Bruce. Well, firstly, Terry, you asked your players at 3/4 time to stand up. They certainly did tonight.
Yeah, I thought they were terrific in that first half of the last quarter. I thought we got our running game going and run them off our legs there for a while. But you always know Essendon, they're a very professional side. They kept at it.
Well, big tonight you had to play the top spot. Now you got the double chance.
Yeah, well, look, that's something that we were really aware of. I mean, didn't matter how much we come in and won by tonight. We just needed to get a win.
And Scotty Wine back in the side. Doesn't he hold him up?
Oh, look, he's fantastic. The game where he missed 2 weeks ago was a significant difference to us. I think he's as important to us as any player in the side.
Well done, Terry, and thanks for joining us on Channel 7.
Thanks, Tim.
Good on you, Dipper, with Terry Wallace. And, Tim, the fact that the Bulldogs have got North again next week, I mean, they could not have had a tougher run home, could they? And North have got a similar situation with Adelaide and Western Bulldogs, and it can hold you in very good stead if you get through it and they go into the finals with a lot of confidence.
Well, they're tough games to play at the end of a season, but they were excellent last week in a tight finish against the Swans. Again, perhaps they tied right towards the end of that final term, but they did play on Waverley Park last weekend, and that has been known to take the edge off sides.